feeling kinda down, and been on the forever in a row. Can I get a dressed up like a T-Rex with that perfect strut. All the people in the chat's just going nuts. You need a rock. Can I get a rock? If you're not feeling well, it's a nice surprise to get her off the bed. Don't live his life with those tiny little arms and the flowing tail. If you don't like it, you can go fuck yourself. Can I get a rock? Rock. You can get a rock. The object of the day to put a smile on your face. All the fans know how much he appreciates. Rock. You can get a rock. Rock. If you're just feeling like crap, all you have to do is ask. Biddle's got your back, and just like that, you get a rock. Can I get a rock? You can get a rock. Rock. With those tiny little arms and the flowing tail. If you don't like it, you can go fuck yourself. Can I get a rock? Rock. You can get a rock. Rock. If you're just feeling like crap, all you have to do is ask. Biddle's got your back, and just like that, you get a rock. Can I get a rock? You can get a rock. Rock. When you're feeling kinda down, and Biddle doesn't
Right. Is it loud now? Is there noise? Everything went. Fucked everything up. Everything. Right. Is there sound yet? Yay? Is that a yay for sound? Right. Sorry. Thank you for the Australian dollars. My bad. Oh, dear God. I've used StreamYard once before and it was a mess. Okay, so for tonight, we've got no banhammers or anything because I don't have them on StreamYard. But we do have guests. So I'm going to bring in Justin from Paranormal Monkey Podcast and Steve and Dolly from Paranormal by the Sea. Before I start, for everyone, if I mention a specific channel name in regards to fakery, that is not the views of anyone else on the panel. It's just me, and the same applies for anyone else. If somebody slips up and says ghost and another name in the same sentence, it's not a reflection on them. Shredmaster, thank you very, very much for the 10 gifted. So we'll bring in Justin first.
Good evening. How are we doing?
Good evening.
Hey, it's good to be here. I can chill.
Yeah, you can. And we both on the water, so we be even.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll watch our P's and Q's mainly.
So for anyone that doesn't know who Justin is or what he does, do you just want to give a brief intro and then I'll get Paranormal by the Sea in?
Yeah, just obviously right now I'm doing the Paranormal Monkey podcast every Monday. Been doing that since December, so but yeah, I've been doing that for a little while, and way before then I was part of a group called Paranormal Truth, and we were going out investigating all over the country, and a lot of it was trying to essentially do things in the right way, in a very similar vein to the Ouija brothers, but trying to see for ourselves whether the stories of these major haunted locations were actually correct and true. And yeah, so we were doing that for a good little while. Anyway, that finished, and so I've done the podcast since.
Turkinator, thank you for the $5 super sticker. Catherine, thank you for the £2. I appreciate it. And next, Ian Dolly coming in.
Good evening,
Dolly.
everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, Justin. Good evening, Beardo. Birdie? Who's Birdie?
Or just Bear.
New name for him, Birdie.
Please don't call me a bear. I've got a hairy chest. So, Steve and Dolly, just in case people don't know who you are and what you do, could you just give a little introduction for yourselves, please?
Yes, so we are Steve and Dolly, and we seek the truth into the paranormal. It was my journey. I'm very passionate about the paranormal. I brought Steve along for the journey, and Steve's actually a skeptic. I'm a full-on 100% believer. So I feel like us two together work quite well because we've got a skeptic and a believer together. And yeah, we just go out with our cameras and we capture the truth into the paranormal.
And how does that go for you? Do you get much? I know the answer, but...
Oh, we get a lot of police, yeah.
Simon Stevens, thank you for the membership for 7 months. I appreciate it. So obviously, we'll have other guests coming in throughout the evening. Like I'm going to be here all night. But whilst us three are here, obviously, Justin, you and Paranormal by the Sea were truthful, honest investigators. Nothing happens, you bring out a video where nothing happens. I mean, Justin, you live streamed 30 East Drive for like a week solid or
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, there was, trust me, there was a lot of nothing that went on. But yeah, I mean, that was always our kind of thing, is that from the very outset, Paranormal Truth and myself, and basically me and Dale, who used to go out, we just wanted to capture the real deal. So we'd been brought up and looking at documentaries and things about like the Enfield poltergeist and things like that. And we thought, well, Christ, if this is going on, then we want to be able to capture that in the most honest possible way that we can. So there was no gadgets and stuff. I hate gadgets, I've got to say. There was no kind of gadgets or anything like that. It was just audio equipment and video equipment, and that was it. And yeah, we would spend literally all night doing all these all-night live streams. And it can get pretty grueling when there's nothing going on. But at no point did we think, do you know what, sod this, we're going to start faking stuff. Because we knew that the reputation of the channel would just, dive. And we
blow up exponentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
So question to both of you, did you watch other paranormal stuff and then, like me, go out, start investigating and be like, where is it? Where's the paranormal? Mandela, thank you for the $10 Australian.
Yeah, shall I go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Sorry. Yes, so I did. I used to watch other channels, obviously, before we went out. And yeah, when we went out and we was calling out and nothing was happening, mostly just the sounds of the house settling or wherever it was, the building settling. You get a lot of that. To be honest with you, when I first went out, I was actually really excited. Steve was so scared. I mean, literally petrified. He was like, something's going to get lobbed at me or something's going to get smashed. And honestly, it was nothing like that whatsoever. In fact, most of the time, I find myself talking to the building. I do. I just find myself talking to the building and just don't shut up. I just carry on talking to the building. But you get to know the building sounds. You get to know, all the other sounds. But yeah, that. For me, that's
because I was quite naive. I thought we was going to come out and get paranormal activity left, right, and centre, but the reality of it is paranormal investigating can be quite boring.
I'm more scared of who's coming in than I am ghosts, if I'm honest with you.
At least with you guys, you've only got to worry about the police because they're the ones that turn up for you.
They know by now, Beardo.
Every time I watch one of your videos, I'm like, come on, any second now. And obviously, same to you, Justin. Did you watch anything before, or was it the documentaries and then?
To be honest, no. I mean, the thing is with us that things have grown massively since we started. We started in like 2017, you know, and things have just grown hugely, and the huge number of fake channels and stuff like that. But when we started, Paranormal Truth started first, and then very soon after the Ouija brothers came onto the scene. But there really was not very many, if any, well, very many, I would say, very many channels going out doing things legitimately and genuinely, and just basically holding their hands up, saying, "Look, there's nothing here." And it took a bit of guts to do that, to be honest, because but we wanted to present honestly. So, but prior to that, there was nobody on YouTube that we were watching. We saw these documentaries, and we've always had this fascination, the pair of us. And you know, when I first started, I was just going out on my own. It wasn't for a YouTube channel or anything like that. It was just purely to go out investigating, and just seeing what there was out there. So it was for nobody else except for me, which gives you an idea of how absolutely nuts I must have been.
Yeah, it's. I've had a similar experience. The first time I went out, I went to Neath Abbey, and I'm just like, "Where's the ghosts? Where's the noise? Where's anything other than things that I can account for?" Because I naively thought that was how easy it was to experience the paranormal. And then I did the same in Margam. I went on one of the worst things I've ever done. I went on a paid event with 40 other people, and there were people screaming and shouting, and it was torture. I hated it. And I've not done one since. Entity 7, thank you very, very much. Right, there was one I missed up there. Wanderer, thank you as well, my friend. I appreciate you guys for super chats and super stickers. So in regards to the fake paranormal, I'm not asking anyone to obviously name and shame and all the rest of it. I wouldn't want anyone to get into the trouble I do. Do you think it negatively impacts, especially smaller channels that are keeping it real?
Massively, because it keeps their views down. I mean, most people now, you know, I like say I do like a 1 hour podcast every Monday.
Yeah,
but but in terms of the number, how long people watch is usually for about 20 minutes, which I think that's really good, and that's my average, and that's pretty good. Anybody who watches a video, they tend to watch. Most people don't watch the whole thing.
No,
and so you've got a lot of channels going out there now who think, "Oh, I need to get people's attention. I need to cook them in some way, shape, or form." And yet, when you're actually going out investigating properly, there's no hook because nothing happens. And that's partly the issue. You know, it's partly is, you know, people watching. You've got, first of all, within the first minute, you've got to kind of hook that viewer into actually watching the rest of your content. And I think that's where most people fall down, is they think, "Do you know what? I'm going to produce some kind of suspense that isn't there, or some kind of activity that isn't there, and that will get us in." And there's always been fakery. There's always, I mean, we know, because we're talking about it, since the spiritualist movement, there's been fakery. Since the very first, you know, so fakery isn't a new thing. People kind of blaming Zach Bagans and things like that. No, in Ghostwatch. Exactly. But and like, you might think, well, maybe it started off with Ghostwatch and we were all duped. But that was the first kind of way. And then after Ghostwatch, it was Most Haunted. And after Most Haunted, you've then got Ghost Adventures and people like that. So there's always been some kind of fakery, I'm afraid. And that's part and parcel, I suppose, of trying to get people's attention. I just think you're kind of battling the fakery, because it does devalue, and the smaller channels who have got morals struggle in that environment, and that's the reality. You know, you'd be lucky to get some channels that may only have a couple of hundred subscribers, that may get 20 or 30 views from what they've done. They've been out, they've edited, they've gone out there, they're trying their damnedest to get people's attention in the right way. After a while, they just think, "What's the point?" And then they give it up. So I think it has a massive, massive impact.
I'll be fair to some of these small channels. I mean, Paranormal by the Sea, I'm not being horrible by saying it. You're a small channel.
Yeah.
And you still go out week after week after week. You still put out content. And I mean, you've just had shoulder surgery, and then you're sending poor Steve out who's scared of his own shadow on his own.
It was spinal surgery.
Spinal, sorry. But you're still trying to get that content out there, and you're appreciative of one person. How many YouTube channels is there? Millions. And if 10 people pick you out of all of those other millions of channels when your video or your premiere goes live, that's phenomenal. And it's still something that blows my mind.
Yeah, as I said before, even a few people watching us, we're grateful, you know?
Yep.
It's not
Here comes trouble.
Faces each week.
Yeah.
I think that's...
Going, guys.
Yeah, like there, Paul.
Evening, Paul.
Evening.
Evening.
Is trouble.
How's everyone? No, I'm not
So-
trouble beardo.
So same
going?
for you, Paul, as the other guys. Do you just want to give a little introduction in case people, I mean, they should do because I shout you guys out all the time, but give a little introduction about what it is you do.
Yeah, so basically, where it all started was I met Mark at work. By the way, is the mic okay?
It's a
Yes,
little
okay.
quiet. Oh, I can turn you up this end. I'll turn you up. There you go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I met Mark at work. We were working together for like 5 years, and we were always discussing paranormal. He's always been interested in it. I've had an experience, personal experience, whilst I was young. And we were talking about it for 3 years before we put the team together. And that's where it all started, basically. Avid Most Haunted fans. Used to love them.
Most of us, except Justin, grumpy over there.
I think
Old and gnarled.
I was so gullible. I used to believe everything.
I think we all did.
Dedica Corner, man. Like, I was amazed by that show. Incredible. They duped everyone.
Yeah. Is there a way you can turn your mic up a bit, your end, Paul?
Yeah.
I've turned you up full my end. People are saying you're a bit quiet.
It's saying it's full still.
Right. Yeah, I can't make Paul any louder, I'm afraid, guys. I don't know if you can move his mic a bit closer.
I think it could.
So has anyone else on the panel had a paranormal experience before, obviously, their channels and before they went out investigating?
Well,
We had
yeah.
a weird-
'cause- Go on, you go first,
Go,
guys.
Justin.
No, go on, Justin, you go first, it's fine.
No, well, it was just a case of, like most people kind of know that, childhood wise, we had a poltergeist in our home for 6 weeks, and that's where it all stemmed from me. It was the poltergeist experience, which, because I think a lot was kept from me because I was only about 8 at the time. That started that that excitement and that kind of the interest in the paranormal, because from there on in I wanted to find out more about what was going on with my family and
yeah.
who else had experienced these kinds of things. So that's where it all started. And after that, it was reading about the Enfield case and then joining the SPR when I was about 14 and things like that. And so, yeah, it kind of stemmed from there on in. But yeah, I had stuff before we did anything for channels.
Dolly and Steve?
So for me, it was the same. I had a childhood experience when I was 5. I used to see a lady. I used to open the door for her. I convinced my mum that she had to cook for the lady. She was just always around, and then she just went. And then about 13, 14, I started seeing another lady in the new house. She was an older. I've always seen 2 older ladies. And then we found out years after I'd moved out, when I was 17, 18, I moved out, that the lady that used to own the house we was in actually died in my bedroom on the floor. And I used to see a lady crawling on the floor in the middle of the night. But things like that never ever scared me, because I thought it was normal to see. I thought everyone else was seeing what I was seeing, if that makes sense. And then when I was 18, 19, I saw like the Hat Man. People call him Hat Man. He's reminds me of Jack the Ripper, basically. He doesn't have a face, but I used to see him a lot. And I see him up to now, just randomly see him. But I've never spoke to him or anything like that. He just vanishes. It's really strange. I probably sound absolutely crazy talking about it, but yeah. So I've had quite a few paranormal experiences. You did with your dad, didn't
The
you?
only thing that I probably would say is unexplained. When my dad passed away, we was all down in the living room, and then we literally just heard footsteps just come out of the where my dad used to sleep. Just walked to the bathroom. That's probably the only.
That was literally the night after he died.
That was the
wasn't
night
it?
after, so that was a bit unexplainable. But it's a
Even
shame.
now, you say it's the floorboards.
It could have been the
creaking.
floorboards. That's what. Yeah, so the only thing I can put it down to.
Skeptic here.
It's quite wild that Dolly is the most skeptical of you and has had more experiences, and Steve is the one scared of his own shadow and
Literally.
hasn't had. Yeah, that's wild. Nightmare Nation, thank you for the $5. That's what sucks. You have to be entertaining, and people relate entertaining to fakery, which isn't always the case. It gives channels a bad name. Yeah, I'm not gonna feel bad about saying this guy's name, but the Angry Cajun, that guy was like, if you use B-roll, you're fake. If you use cinematic music, you're fake. Bye. Next clip. And it's like, no, that's people that are doing the real investigations, trying to hook people in with honesty. So they'll buy a drone and they'll buy 8K cameras and make nice sweeping shots. And I mean, Paul and Steve, they're in a world of their own when it comes to B-roll. I tried to replicate it and can't get it to look that smooth. And I thought Paul had a nice gimbal and a rail to get his shots. But that's the love that people are putting into the channels, and then to get called fake for trying to start up, for lack of a better term,
Polishing a turd, Biddle, basically.
yeah, we are.
Polishing a boring 8-hour investigation that you're narrowing down to what, maximum 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like Justin was saying earlier, I couldn't agree more. That first minute of your video has to be the hook to get people to watch your video. And when nothing happens for that entire investigation, you've got to find something so small to put it at the beginning of that video to make people watch and to grip them. And it's like,
Yeah.
it can be impossible sometimes. That's where the title and thumbnail comes into play.
Yeah,
Clickbait,
and
you know.
we may as well mention it. I mean, you've been called out for clickbait. I've been called out for
Oh, yeah.
clickbait. But you have to clickbait on YouTube. And it's not like we are saying we are scientists conducting scientific experiments. We are content creators, whether that be in the ghost field or the debunking field, or I mean, I mix everything into my channel. And we try to entertain whilst doing one of the most boring jobs on the planet. One of the complaints I had about my last 30 East Drive video was, could you stop and give the spirits a chance to speak? And I'm like, we did. We just cut dead air out because my video would have been 14 hours long.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, if you was going to do things legitimately and properly, you would have no background music, no B-roll. There'd be no personalities between the different investigators. There'd be no humor involved. It'd be you sat in a dark room in silence, not even calling out, in silence with a notepad, writing down every sound. And that's the reality of proper paranormal investigating is, you know, it's going around and you might have some equipment to, you know, whether it's temperature or variation, you know, whatever, you know, in terms of baseline assessments and things. But nobody is going to watch any of that. No. You know, so that's the legitimate way of doing it. But on what planet are you actually going to be able to produce something that's entertaining if you go down that avenue? It's just not going to happen. So that's why we have B-roll. That's why there needs to be some kind of chemistry between the people investigating.
Yeah.
Because people hook into, you know, you as a person, not what's not there. You know,
Abs, thank you for the 6 months. Do you actually have abs? Because I don't. And sorry, Scottish Pride. People are so used to bumps and jump scares every 30 seconds in the fakes, they can't relate to the real anymore. Absolutely. 2 seconds. Rob Linklater, thank you for the £2. That voice is so sexy, Justin.
Yeah, damn it.
And I think that's a complaint we've all had is, you've called that a paranormal video and nothing paranormal happened.
Welcome to a real paranormal investigation.
Well, the paranormal works.
Yeah.
Sam Haynes, thank you for the new membership. And you know what? It's soul destroying. Paul, I hope you don't mind me using your channel as an example here. A year ago, your views were a lot higher than they are now, weren't they?
Yes.
And there just seems to have been a bit of a drop, and then you get a sweeping brush fall over. Nothing, you know, there wasn't a glass bottle thrown one length of a room to another. A sweeping brush fall over, and you and Mark react. You're very like, wait, stop, let me try and work out what this is, what it could have been. Mark is Mark, and Mark is like, there's got to be paranormal, and that's why you guys work for me. One same as Steve and Dolly, one skeptical and one sort of believer. And then people are like, oh, you faked that. And it's like, well, you had your camera this way, he had his camera that way, you must have faked that. It's like, why would you fake a brush falling or being pushed?
Don't forget, we should have had a static cam on the brush as well, Beardo, for the whole.
Yeah, but if you'd had a static cam, then I would have been suspicious. You know what I mean? I mean, my introduction to Ghosts on Trent was they were called fake, and I did a video to try and catch them faking. And what I watched was like, hang on, you're saying he's kicked this door, he's too far back. You've taken the zoom of a camera and an outstretched arm and all the rest of it. And that's how I got into them, because I watched the rest of it. I was like, these guys are actually really good. Nothing has happened but that really loud bang. And even then, they weren't, that's a ghost. Wanderer, thank you for the 4 months. Thank you, Biddle, for sticking your guns and being you, mate. I've got to be, I can't be any other way. And I like to try and help other channels out. I mean, at one point, Paul was helping me out because I was a tiny channel that nobody had ever heard of. And Paul, like the Ouija Brothers and other channels, took a debunker under their wing. Teresa, thank you for the 199.
We support the debunkers because debunking is crucial in investigating. Especially the ones that legitimately love doing what they're doing for the truth. Debunking is a must. So, you know, the work that you do, Beardo, and the other debunkers is incredible. Yeah,
and there's more and more debunkers now going out and investigating as well. I mean, Mythos has started investigating, and the quality of his videos already is fantastic. Fair play to him. But when you put all that effort in, like Mythos does, like you do, like the Ouija Brothers do, like Steve and Dolly do, you travel however many hundreds of miles on occasion, you get nothing, and then you get called fake for random knocking and all the rest of it. And I've noticed that a lot of the people that call us fake for that are the same people supporting people that get poltergeist activity week on week without fail. Dean Bailey, thank you for the 5.
Like I'm being trolled sometimes in the comments. It's just like, oh, I just can't waste my energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think me and you were quite similar, and we get angry about it.
Oh yeah.
We get really wound up by it. Yeah,
you're so passionate about something, and you know this, you're 100% truth. You're not setting shit up. You're not bullshitting, and someone tries to come and say that you're faking. It's like, really gets under my skin.
One thing that we always used to get, which we used to find really entertaining, and I know the likes of Ouija Brothers and Ghosts on Trent, you probably have this as well, is when when you go out and investigate and things like that, and you might get the odd noise, and they'll just say, oh, you like I say you fake that one. It's just like, have you even watched our channel? Because we will straight up say there's nothing here all the time. All the time, there's nothing here. And occasionally, very occasionally, you might get some little response or some kind of noise or some kind of, you might get something which is, plausible. And then you're thinking, you're just a bunch of fake. So the fakery rubs off, onto genuine channels. And that's the issue, because you're combating that as well.
Yeah.
Steve's the same. Sorry, Steve's the same. He gets wound up as well. We've had negative comments about our trailers apparently look like movie trailers. I mean, thank you. See, I'm so different. Like, it doesn't bother me. I'll just say thank you for your comment. I just say thank you for your comment and that. But Steve gets really wound up because Steve's never ever done the B. I do B-roll. Steve does all the editing. I don't know how to do it, but Steve's taught himself how to do the editing, and it takes hours and hours of learning how to do it. He's never done it, so I'm quite proud that he can put together what he puts together. And when people, negative comments about it, he gets really wound up. I mean, like I said, at one point he was just gonna just quit because he just couldn't deal with all the negativity. But I'm completely different. It doesn't bother me. I just say thank you for your comment.
Just ignore it now, don't we?
Now you ignore it, yeah. It's just the best way to be. It's just ignore it and say thank you.
So Lady Loki has asked, Justin, how did you come up with the paranormal or the name Paranormal Monkey?
Oh God! All right. Very, very. I mean, to cut a long story short, basically, I was part of a ghost event company. I worked with Phil Wyman. So some of you may know Phil Wyman from Are You Haunted and things like that. And he used to be on Most Haunted. But I worked with Phil and Sarah Wyman, and when they had a ghost event company, they had lots of gadgets. We'll talk about ghost event companies as well, but they had lots of gadgets which the members of the public could use. And one of them was their own version of what's called a Boo Bear. So it's in America, you might have seen Boo Bears on various different shows and stuff, but they had their own version, which was a monkey, and they used to call it Paranormal Monkey. And I just really liked the name, and it stuck, and I nicked it. But originally I decided not to use my name. I wanted to just be known as Paranormal Monkey or Paranormal Monk, I think initially, because I was a bit weird because I was a full-time teacher. I thought, at some point somebody's gonna, because our channel was getting into like tens of thousands of subscribers and things. I thought, shit, at some point some parent is gonna spot the teacher doing an investigation. I don't know how they're going to feel about it. So I decided not to use my name, but now I just don't give a shit.
So, like, the other thing, like, I went out with Exploring the Entity last year. Paul, you went to the same building. There was that farmhouse where everyone that went there was getting little bits of activity and all the rest of it. And then a fake channel went there after us. You'll remember this. It was in between me and you going. They put out a video like, I've been here 30 minutes and it's not haunted. I went off. I was like, you absolute moron. You can't go somewhere for 30 minutes and say it is or it isn't. How many builders have all of us walked out of and said, yep, that's haunted? There's not.
One, I think.
Yeah. That farmhouse was interesting.
That's the one, the place where they had me experience with a poltergeist years and years ago. That's the only place I can say that's haunted.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's got that sort of. I'm trying to word things carefully to a degree because I don't want anyone else getting hit on because of something that I've said. But it's got so petty. Where, like, you guys are not allowed to be real anymore. They've got to try and upstage real channels, and then it's like, if you're friends with a debunker, we'll cut you off, and you're not allowed to be friends with us in real life. And I'm like, I'm not mentioning anyone specifically here, but it happens. Mike, thank you for the $9.99. I appreciate it. Sorry, Mike. There you go. It's so petty and childish out there. It's like, why look on our side of your side of the fence, not mine. I attract it because I'm calling it out for what it is. But then why attack the guys that are going out there and just saying, no, we didn't get anything tonight? I've never understood that.
I think it's a little bit like loyalties. You have certain channels that look at Most Haunted. I'm going to talk about Most Haunted, right?
Yeah.
Most Haunted have the most, okay, their fan base has dropped massively over time because, over time, their peak, they were huge, and we all know they were huge. But yet, even now, when they're doing stuff for YouTube only, and they've been exposed for their fakery again and again and again, they have a hardcore number of fans that absolutely stick by them through thick and thin. And they must know that there's fakery involved, but they just don't care. And I think, you get certain channels that become almost like a football team. They will absolutely stick with that channel no matter what they do. And anybody else, they dismiss entirely. So I think that's part of the issue.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it is, they've gone into that building and not captured anything. They're going to make us look silly because they don't understand the paranormal. Or is it purely we can't have these people out there doing real and then us looking, ridiculous. Because me and Ghosts on Trent, again, we went to a house rumored to have poltergeist activity. People were saying there was a demon in there. And I'm like, I'm just going to go in and upstage them all by shouting at this demon and all the rest of it. The end of the video, we had something potentially get thrown. We heard voices and we heard footsteps. And the three of us are sat in the living room of this house, or stood in the living room of this house at the end. And we're like, we can't take that away from these channels. Yes, they've been accused of faking before, but in this house, they may have actually experienced something. And we were getting shit for that. It was like, how dare you? How dare you mention those channels? It's like, because potentially they may have actually experienced something real and then ballsed it up because every other video they've put out is fake.
Yeah.
Giuseppe Stromboli, thank you for the $4.99. 3 Spires, thank you as well. Do you have any locations where you've come out and gone, yep, that place is haunted? Paul's already answered that. Steve, Dolly?
I don't like using the word haunted. I don't know why. I just say spirit activity. I don't know why. I just feel like haunted is like demons and stuff being thrown everywhere. But yeah, no. We did go to a railway pub, didn't we? And there was a lot that we just couldn't explain. When we first walked in, we don't have our cameras out because they're quite heavy. You got to get 3 things. So when we first walked in, we actually heard a door slam to the upstairs of the pub. Now, there's no way in this pub. There's one way in and one way out. It's completely boarded. As you guys know, a lot of buildings are completely boarded up. It's in the middle of a forest as well. We were convinced someone was there. So as I was getting the camera out, I quickly put the camera away because I thought but I genuinely thought someone was there. I heard footsteps. I heard the door slam. So we generally thought maybe homeless were in the building or something. So Steve went to see. We always see if there's homeless there to see if they're okay, to see if they need anything. So we went up there to see if anybody was in the building, sheltering or whatever. Nobody there whatsoever. Nobody there whatsoever. I felt so uncomfortable to actually quit the investigation. I never quit. I mean, I was locked in a basement with blindfold. I just don't quit. But that place did make me feel on edge. Then we took another group back and we had the same sort of activity going on there. Well, so, yeah. I would say spirit activity, but Steve's still a bit like, could it have been this, could it have been that? So I think for Steve to believe, he needs to see a full-on apparition, or he needs like something to levitate for him to believe.
Justin?
Vast majority of the time, absolutely not. No, nothing. We've been to, Christ knows how many places we've been to over the years, but I'm such a skeptical bugger that at no point would I think, yep, that's haunted. Just after one night, it just doesn't happen. The only place is 30 East Drive. And I say that after hundreds of hours spent in that place. And I would only say that was haunted when we had definitive proof from an empty room of stuff kicking off in that empty room directly above our heads. And when we knew where everybody was, there's cameras on the landing, so we knew there was no fakery. And at that point, only when there was, proof of the paranormal, and for anybody saying, "Oh yeah, but who did you say definitive? How is that definitive?" Because we also sent our analysis of the waveform analysis of the raps that were captured in that room to the Society for Psychical Research, and they verified that our audio waveforms linked identically to that of a poltergeist. So that is the only place. That is the only place that I would say, but that was one instant after hundreds of hours that we actually said, yeah, okay, I've got to change my mind about that place.
Mia Buck, thank you for the $2. Cynthia Bossy, thank you for the $2. AV Stevie, thank you for the $20. Right, that's a comment to read there. In my opinion, the ones that are leaving nasty comments to the real channels are pissed off fans of the fakers that have been called out by the debunking community. That's right. Blame me.
I agree with that.
Stay tuned. Thank you very, very much for the gifted membership. I think he's got a point with that comment, though.
Yeah.
I think it goes to show, though, that when we started, there was not a debunking community at all, which goes to show how many fake channels there must be. People may have posted a comment about Zach and and all of that kind of, but there genuinely wasn't really, generally wasn't a debunking community on YouTube. It just didn't exist.
No,
And
no
so
one was
that-
questioning the bullshit, were they? Sorry, Justin.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, everyone was just taking it at face value, and nobody was putting a spotlight on these teams to say, look, okay, no, this just isn't right. This is, but over time, it has improved, and I think people give you, Beardo, a lot of shit for the debunking, and they'll give Joe Vitale shit, and they'll give Kenny Biddle shit, and all those kinds of any kind of person who's going out there debunking. They give them loads of crap, but actually, you should be kind of applauding them before saying, "Look, this is not on."
I deserve a lot of the crap I get because of my attitude and because of the things I say, the jokes I make. But Mr. Gree and Kenny Biddle, when they get it, and I'm like, they're just factual. Why are you pulling them apart and ripping them to shreds when they've just been factual or based on science and logic? And Mr. Gree is a video editor. He knows, he's a graphic designer. Kenny Biddle works for the Center of Inquiry. That's their profession. Why get angry that they've brought their professions into the paranormal field? You should absolutely be applauding it. And Wanderer, thank you for the $2. When AI gets more advanced, how will you debunk them? We'll have to learn some new tricks.
I just want to say as well, just very quickly, that I think it's really important for legitimate, genuine paranormal channels to be open to the debunkers and just. I know you've had teams coming to you, Beardo, say, "Look, we've got this footage. Can you look over it?" Or to Kenny, so you're submitting some footage. I'm not sure about this. This might be something. What do you think? Because you have to be open to it, and if you're not, then straight away there should be little red flags going up. Because it's and like I say, and actually being, I've had some wonderful conversations before he passed away with James Randi. Now you may know James Randi, who famously was debunker of Uri Geller, and he was adamant. It's with every fiber of his being, there was no such thing as ghosts and things and the paranormal. And we had some really good conversations, but you had to applaud him because. He was the original debunker. He'd been there, done it, bought the T-shirt essentially, and I loved him for that. To be honest,
he had a great beard too.
He had an amazing beard.
The thing is, when it comes down to it, we all want the truth, don't we? We're all going to die.
Definitely.
And this is, I think, a lot of people forget that we're actually talking. This topic is death. This is a serious, serious subject. So when I see people going out faking stuff, that's an insult to my relatives that have passed away. The activity I witnessed, that's an insult to my beliefs, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, same here. It's an insult to my beliefs. And I take, you wouldn't go up to somebody as they walk out of a church and then say, Jesus isn't real. Just for the sake of it, because it's really disrespectful. Exactly. And that's what, to me, that's what fake paranormal channels are doing. They're literally spitting in the face of our beliefs. Yeah. And then, how much money even me, I'm not a paranormal investigator as my main sort of focus, but how much fuel, time away from the family, wear and tear on the cars, hotels, if you stay in a hotel or staying at the East Drive or whatever, it all adds up. And then you've got to get home and edit. You've got 2 cameras. You've done an 8-hour investigation. That's 16 hours of footage. You've got to sit through and try to find some semblance of something entertaining for people when nothing has happened. And it's like, I could have just gone and thrown a bottle top off camera and nobody would have been any the wiser.
Yeah. And I think that's part of it. I do think it is demoralizing sometimes, in fairness, when you particularly as well, if you're going through every camera that you've used, and let's say you've used 4 cameras, and as well as you might have voice recorders on, which you have to then listen back to 8 hours worth or however many hours worth of nothing, or just you having a conversation to camera or to calling out to thin air, and like I say, nothing happens, then at the end of it, you've got to condense all of that into 45 minutes of thinking, Christ, what have I got? Absolutely nothing. So how can we possibly make this entertaining? And I think some people just think, oh, sod it, we'll just we'll throw something in, or we'll do something to make it more entertaining, and that's where it starts, I'm afraid, and then people just get very good at it.
Rick Dersh, thank you very, very much for the $50. I appreciate the debunkers as an investigator myself. I would hope to have someone like the Biddle or the Side-Eye Guy or any of you give alternative views. No one is 100% perfect all the time yet, and demons aren't real. Absolutely. I don't... If I get something in my video I can't understand, I'll send it to Mr. Gree, because I can't... Pointless me debunking myself. How many times have we seen fakers, I'm debunking this live? No, you're not. You're sidetracking people away. Ginger Monster, question. What is canon across the board? Meaning, what do all parties agree with methods and tools that are legit? As there is so much chance of faking and technical issues, what do you all think? I don't think there is anything, because we don't know. I don't think there's anything everyone 100% agrees on, because it's all just experimentation and testing the waters. I mean, how many of us have used certain types of equipment for a while and then gone, oh, crap, it's a waste of £100?
Yeah. We always say it's experimental purposes. Personally, we don't use any apps at all, just because I can't see how someone from the 1800s or 1900s would use an app, but that's my personal opinion. I just use my eyes and my ears, and I think your eyes and your ears are most important on an investigation. Yes, we'll use trigger objects, just because if it relates to the place we're at, we'll get a trigger object out, see if they can push it or throw it. But apart from that, if you're in a building and there's a spirit in the building that's used to that building, they're going to push something in that building. They're not going to want to push a ball that you've bring with you. So realistically, we don't really use lots. So that's why I think we're a bit boring, because we generally don't use a lot of stuff. We don't use REM pods. We did at the beginning of our journey, but then soon realised how we just didn't like them. So yeah, just for us, we just don't use anything now.
Right, question from World of Mr. Gree. Even though my other one didn't get answered, sorry, Dandalf, there's 546 people in here just as important as you. If a piece of equipment has been used for years without finding anything, why still use it? I mean, that's why I've binned all mine.
I think the only thing I would continue to use, I use trigger objects, and I've always used trigger objects. Have I ever had any of those trigger objects move? No. I've not had, whether it's a coin, whether it's, I used to take a key or a crucifix or something along those lines. Have I ever had any of those launch at me? No. Have I ever moved slightly? No. But would I still use them? Absolutely.
Sorry, can I just say as well, before anyone calls me a liar, I used the SB7 box. Sorry, I forgot to tell. I used the SB7 box. Just before anyone says I'm a liar, I think I forgot the SB7, because I take the thing out of it. And we do a backward sweep. So yeah, sorry. Sorry, Justin.
You know that's not actually a backward sweep, do you?
Oh, there we go. Then I've been debunked.
No, it scans backwards. I didn't know until Kenny Biddle. I think it was Kenny Biddle debunked it. It's a backwards scan, so nothing's playing backwards or anything. It's not turning the footage around or the sounds around or anything.
That's good to know.
Thank you for letting us know, because I always say when I use it, if anything comes out, it should talk gibberish, because it shouldn't come forward, if you get what I mean. But sorry, no, I do use the SB7. Sorry, Justin. Sorry, my love.
All right. No, I'm just. I mean, let's be honest. I don't really use equipment. Like I say, the other thing is voice recorders and, like I say, cameras, and that's all I've ever really used. Oh, and I might have a notebook to note down any noises or anything that, if somebody coughed or sneezed or farted or whatever. But you're right. But that's literally all I would really use. I mean, so in terms of equipment that doesn't work, I don't really have anything other than trigger objects that I've not had work. But that's not really, I would say that's like a gadget as such. But I would still continue to use them just in case.
Yeah, I mean...
Do you think these are just as good as an EVP? That's what I always say on an investigation. My camera, I don't see why people use EVPs. Because if there's a spirit there that wants to talk, they're going to talk through this or your camera. That's how you're going to hear them. What's the difference between your mic here, your mic on your camera, and an EVP? Okay, I don't
know. That's why I've never used one.
I would only
we've never used one.
We've in the past had things like we've had a voice recorder where we've had nothing on the voice recorder, yet something has come through on the camera. So some people have had things come through on a tape recorder, but not on a digital recorder, and vice versa. So I would just say that sometimes you could pick up things on different pieces of equipment for no apparent reason on one and not the other. So I would, that's why I just tend to take more than one piece of audio equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lynn, thank you for the 14 months. Hi, Biddle. It's the DR60 the fakers seem to be using now. Yeah, because they know they'll get false positives. And that's where the difference between fake and misguided comes in. Because there's a massive difference. I think I've accused people previously of faking when they haven't. They've been really misinformed. If you pull that DR60 out at this point in time, you're full of it. And I can't forgive that, you know? It's not... It's been disproved completely. It was recalled for being a broken piece of machinery. Right, sorry. Shadow Side Paranormal Research Society, thank you for the $2. Thoughts on putting home investigations on YouTube? If the client agrees and it's a legitimate team, maybe. But the likes of... No, better not. There's certain teams in the States that go into houses, use phone apps, and then say this house has a demon. And that is dangerous. At some point, somebody's going to off themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a terrifying prospect, that you go in there with your REM pod, your phone app, all this stuff that isn't proved, and then you tell a homeowner, yes, you have, and then you throw a bit of holy water around and say your house is clean. What happens when the house starts knocking a week later because it's carbon monoxide and you've convinced them it's a ghost and they don't get their boiler checked?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is going to die because of fakery.
See, me personally, I just would not film any home investigations whatsoever. There are just too many risks involved in terms of if you, like say, but the really annoying thing, we'll go on to, ethics. There are TV shows out there blatantly going into family homes saying they've got a demon in there, and there are kids involved. And now and now you've got the kids, the knock-on effect of the parents will tell the kids can be worried they've got a demon, and legitimately, this TV crew have gone in with their experts who have then said, yeah, absolutely, they've got a demon in their home. There are so many psychological issues with that, so many issues. I would just me personally, I'd stay well clear of home investigations and then putting it on YouTube. No, that's a big no-no for me.
Thank you for the 10. And Shadowside, thank you for the 2. I have like 50 home investigations not online. You're probably doing it for the right reasons then. I wouldn't do it. I've been asked to do home investigations and I won't do it because my concern is I'll impact on somebody's mental health or the kids or whatever. It's something, I had this conversation with Justin where I said when we were on about abandons, where it's like, I'm far more comfortable trespassing than I am going into a house invited and scaring the shit out of someone. Nah. Or the opposite, I go in there and say your house isn't haunted, and they're upset then because I've crushed their hopes and dreams of the house being haunted because they think it's their mum or their dad, or not for me.
It is a dodgy ground, isn't it?
Mm.
I mean,
you can't be right for wrong, I think.
Yeah, and if I knew I could get a video like Clickbait from the Ouija brothers, and definitely.
Oh, you said Clickbait. That's going to kick that off again.
That's what a video! What a video!
Thank you, Celtic Queen, for the 4 months. Thank you, Scottish Pride, for the 4 months. I managed to tolerate you. You. The cheek of it.
Yeah, we went to the same place, that Plategate. We went to the same place. Hell House. And I can't remember if it was before or after the Ouija brothers. We went there. And if anybody saw, because we did this live, and it was the people who were watching our live were just wetting themselves because the homeowners left. They went to a hotel whilst we was investigating their home, and it's different because it wasn't like this was a slightly different situation. It wasn't really like a family environment, like a home investigation, but they just had this property which they were adamant that it was haunted and things like that. We went in, that asked us to come in and investigate it. Anyway, we did this live, and I can't remember, about midnight there was a knock on the front door. And at this point, we're in night vision. We had night vision cameras. We're all dressed in black. There's like 4 or 5 blokes there. And we open the front door, and there's this little old lady, and anybody who remembers this will just be wetting themselves. Little old lady asking for the lady who owned the property whether she was in. And to be faced with 5 blokes, all clad in black, in a pitch black house, and I'm just thinking, oh, it legitimately looked like we were robbing the place. And then we had an alarm, and that went off. So it literally looked like we'd just broken into that place. And then this alarm went off, and this was all on the live stream, and we carried on kind of recording it. And we thought, how long before the police turn up now? How long before we get like two police cars out front? Anyway, yeah.
Paranormal Quest, I did see a comment. Yeah, Paranormal Quest, obviously a rather large channel from the States that have taken on board things that I've said in videos. And they have now been told by other teams in the States that they're not welcome to work with them, and they've been cut off from them. Same thing that's happened over here with other UK channels has happened to those guys over there with another large channel. Like, you're taking the word of a debunker. Bearing in mind, that same channel used to come in my live streams and everything until I caught them. Right, we've got Joe Vitale waiting in the back. Let's bring him in. I don't know how much carnage this is going to be with 5 people, but let's go for it.
Should be good.
Hey, Joe.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
So same as the other guys, do you want to just give a brief rundown of what you do? He's 24 awards, I'll say that. Stop him going on about it.
Yes, I've won 24 awards, but yeah, Beardo still doesn't know how to spell my last name.
I do, I just choose not to.
Sure. No, I mean, I've been investigating the paranormal for 30 plus years, on and off. I mean, just going out there and seeing what happens, test claims, and just bringing the truth, showing, hey, this is what it's like to investigate. Also, being able to share those adventures and stuff like that to other people. So, I mean, that's the gist of it, I guess.
Okay, so here's a question. So I totally get that there are fakers, totally, but what if certain spirits are drawn to certain people? They probably are, but or they can be, but they're not on YouTube. And this is the thing: these people are going to different places all over the world, and they're always getting activity week in, week out, without fail. I'm sorry, they're lying, because that's not how it works.
The thing is, then, that means that debunkers are actually debunking spirits, if that's the case, because the debunkers are debunking what the activity that they're creating, masks, people throwing things, strings being pulled, all the good old bullshit, you know. So
yeah, some debunkers don't believe in the paranormal at all, which is absolutely fine. Some debunkers, like myself, believe, and then we come from a place of belief, and then all the fakery fits all over it. So, yeah, my brain's just fat.
I was going to say, just like, but if let's say a spirit is particularly drawn to somebody who's known for faking, and they get spiritual activity on their channel, you're not going to know. It's a bit like the boy who cried wolf. You're not going to know what's legitimate and what's fake. And if they're caught faking once, I'm sorry, but you know, in terms of, you know, how you respect and how you view that channel, it just plummets. So you're not going to believe anything, even if it is genuine.
Yeah, if one of these channels came out and said, look, up until this point, see, we'll use Sam and Colby, one of the biggest on YouTube. If they were to come out and say, we faked everything until this point, I don't think it would damage them. But then if they ever captured something, nobody is going to believe it. And that's their fault because of all the bullshit leading up to that point. At some point, like the house me and Paul went to, the Jumanji house, we experienced things there that other teams experienced, but nobody with a rational thought process is going to believe those guys about it. They may have had something genuine in that house, and we said as much. Nobody believed them because they've lied. Right.
I've talked about this a few times as well, where, hey, these guys could be having a paranormal experience. Problem is their credibility's not there. We don't know.
Thank you, Shadowside, for the 2. Go on, you're all right. I just don't want to miss anyone. Go on.
I mean, no, that was it, really.
No. Also, on the flip side, though, let's say a genuine team who's built up the trust, like ourselves, fakes, people are more prone to believe it. We have to look at that as well.
I mean, I'll say it.
I've seen some channels that have started off legitimate, or are believed to be legitimate, and then turned to the dark side, where then I've thought, these are legit guys though, so I must believe this. Do you get what I'm saying? So it works both ways.
Yeah,
we can't be biased. We can't be biased.
The ones. Sorry, we'll talk about Mr. Grace in a second. I just want to very quickly say that the ones that really annoy me are the ones that portray themselves as skeptical, or portray themselves as somebody who is, goes out there to debunk, when actually, and then over time, like you say, that then they're caught out for faking. But it's the ones that present themselves as a genuine channel those ones really do my head in.
They hurt them ones do, especially if you're following them.
Especially if you're friends with them, and then they go on the attack because somebody said you shouldn't have spoke to somebody like that. Mr. Green, question: who comes up with these redonkulous names for places like Jumanji House, Hell House, Demon House? In the UK, there is actually a reason behind that. And that is so you don't give the location away for people to go in there and trash it. Jumanji House is so we don't say, like, I nearly said where it was then. There's a reason behind some of it. The Jumanji House, there's vines growing up through the walls inside, board games everywhere, and they're not giving the location away. But Demon House, Amityville in the UK, somebody was taking the piss with that. Amityville is in Rhode Island. Think it is Rhode Island, right?
New York.
Amity.
Amity.
Yeah.
All right, I was wrong again.
Our video with the Ouija brothers at Amityville that's the top for me.
Yeah.
Well, you debunked everything about it.
I just everything about it was great. The way that Steve presented it was amazing. It's just a very enjoyable video.
Is that the one where you debunked the murder, or was that a different? That was a different house. Or was it the same one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. They were 5 miles in the wrong direction, and because that's happened twice, hasn't it?
Yeah,
that's happened twice. There's the murder house. They got that wrong as well with the girl in the garden, or is that the same place? There's like a girl supposed to have been buried in the garden, and that's twice.
That one, Peter.
I'm sure you've been there. Parple went there as well with the Ouija brothers.
Oh, not buried in the garden. No, where the girl went missing. She was last seen. The Screaming House.
Yeah. I was going to say,
Screaming House, yeah. To be fair, that property had a little bit of something about it, though. It's a creepy place.
It was definitely creepy when Parple went in there offering mini cheddars to the ghost.
Yeah.
Right, Joe, you wanted to bring something up that I think is relevant as well about actual buildings and them basically allowing people to get away with murder to sell tickets.
Right. But we have these teams that go to these locations and they get told this story. And of course, they're going to run with these stories. But if they actually did the research, they'd find out within 10 minutes. No, these things aren't correct. Now, for the most part, most locations here in the States, they're really good about their history. And if they're not sure about something, they'll just say, this is what we've heard. We don't know if it's true, which is great. But there are locations that I've been to in the past where I've heard nothing about any kind of demons whatsoever. And a new owner takes hold of this location, then all of a sudden there's a demon there. And then you have these guys go in, these other teams, and it's like, oh, demons. Great, cool. Gonna run with that. These owners, they'll allow that to happen. Then there are other owners who they don't say anything about demons or anything else that may contain to a video. And they're like, hey, whatever they get out of it, whatever. As long as it brings business to my building, I don't care. And then there are those that do call out certain channels that have gone there and made these crazy claims of demons and being attacked and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's obviously one lady had the balls to go up against a channel as big as Sam and Colby about the disrespect and stuff in the house. I thought that was massively brave of her and fantastic. The side-eye guide to highlight it all.
Right.
But then they'll go to another place, do the exact same thing, and it's like, oh, but 11 million subscribers, that's money in my pocket. Let them get away with it, and that's dangerous.
And I have, well, here compared to everybody else here on the panel, I have the advantage of being here in the States, going to these same locations, and then hearing a lot of the owners be like, I don't want them back. That entire thing was a lie. Everything they did was just not, no. And then, like I said, there's some that are like, whatever they get, I don't care.
You're hated anyway, aren't you? Because you have big paranormal channels taking your posters down out of buildings or covering them over.
Yeah. That was fun.
I mean,
It was funny.
I was to say, just similar vein to what Joe's been saying. We had issues with 39 De Grey Street in Hull because the property owner, was spinning a narrative that it had links. It was used to be a one-time mortuary and all kinds of various different tales about this property. And the people were renting couldn't stay there for any length of time because it was so badly haunted. But unbeknown to him, we brought a historian with us who had gone through all of the archives and could tell us exactly what it was used for and how long people were living there for, and that there was no link to the mortuary and things like that. And that we had issues. There were issues between the owner spinning this narrative and the historian, and we had to make sure they were separate, basically, because there were threats and things like that involved. So I but then on the other hand, you've also got some locations who, before they even let a paranormal team in, will say, look, this is the history, stick with this history because this is correct. We don't want any mention of demons, so we want to see what you put out there before it's released on YouTube, because we don't want this property, this location, or the history of this property kind of muddied by these kind of tales of demonic activity, for instance. Sorry, Joe, you can say.
No, I mean, a couple of locations, they do that. They want to look at the footage. Like, what are you putting out? We want to see it first before you put it out because we want to okay this first. And that's what these locations will do. Now, there have been teams that have gone to a certain location claiming demons. They throw that video out there and the owner's like, what are they doing? This is in the contract that you sign. You are not allowed to claim that there are demons here because there's not. Plus, we're in the Bible Belt, and where this location is, Bible Belt. No, it's hard enough. It was hard enough for a certain location owner to get his hands on a location because of the whole paranormal thing and being in the Bible Belt. So when word got out that, hey, they're saying there's demons here, no, then the owner gets a whole lot of shit from the city. Again, there's the other side too, where, hey, this is our history. You're going to stick to this. And if you try to debunk it, there's going to be a problem.
Conjuring house.
Well, so no, not necessarily. There is a couple of other places that are like that, where it's like, well, we found all this information. We literally have physical proof. And then they want to shut everything down. Oh, you're not allowed to put content out there and, threaten lawsuits, things like that. Yes. I swear to God, this has happened to me. I'm not even kidding. And the truth in some way, shape, or form will get out. It's just a matter of time. But that doesn't help me or any other paranormal investigator who's legit that go to these places. We're trying to figure out what's going on. And if we can debunk a lot of the ghosts that were there or people who were there, if we can say, hey, these people were not there, this did not happen, that makes things a little stranger.
Yeah.
And it would help them more, if anything else.
I've just seen a comment about Really Haunted. Obviously, all of you guys involved in the paranormal, I'd love your take on this. I personally think it, not just him, anyone that does that, speaking from their own house, is the laziest grift on the platform. They're almost up there with those guys with the guitar pedals 3 hours after a celebrity's dead. Pisses me off. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views for free from sitting in the house in the same pair of shorts sometimes. But you know what I mean? You guys have traveled all over your respective countries and, you know, the fuel, the time away, the editing and all of that. And then you upstaged by somebody lazily, like Smug Puppy, you know, where you can see the cuts and you can see the masking and people are drinking that in and then they watch you and go, you're boring.
Yeah.
I'd love to get your guys' take on that. We could work clockwise, Justin, then Paranormal, then Paul, then Joe.
Where do I start with that lot? I think it's really, I don't want to start ranting, but the main issue is people like that, not just people like that who are doing their hobbies. That's just pure laziness, but it's the ones who just out and out fake at anything, no matter where they are. It makes the paranormal community or the paranormal generally a laughing stock, you know, and people take the piss anyway. So when you've got these people who are blatantly faking in their own home, whether it's, and they're using kind of, to be honest, fairly sloppy methods, and you know, like you did like the Nukes top 5 stuff, you know, a lot of those are pretty sloppy methods for faking things. When you do that, it adds to the people's perspective that the paranormal is a joke, and that's what I take great offense to. So that's my mini rant done.
For me, it's frustrating. I think it's frustrating because I'm so passionate about the paranormal and I want to bring you guys real evidence of the paranormal, and that's why I'm out there seeking the truth. It's frustrating for me because they're sitting, like you said, it's sloppy work what they're doing. It's not costing them anything like it does with us when we have to go out and, like all of you guys, we have to go out and do things. Sometimes you have to pay for events and stuff. It's just so frustrating. And I think that's the only thing I'm going to say about it, because again, I don't want to go on a rant because we can talk about this all day long otherwise. But yeah, for me, it's the frustrating part.
Yeah. It's annoying as well when you go to a location where another team's gone and they've got hundreds of thousands of views for it, and you get hardly anything and you hear nothing in the location, and you're frightened to even call them out on it because you just don't want no negativity to your channel.
Yeah, you don't want an army. You don't want an army coming over to your channel. But yeah, it's frustrating that you sometimes have to stay silent. That's the worst part. But yeah, I think on people like that, it's frustrating more than anything.
That's why it's thankful that we do have these debunkers that actually do it for us.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
Which is nice.
Definitely.
Paul?
Yeah, so basically mirroring what those guys have just said, totally agree. But also, like now, because I don't watch the nonsense now, like I can be scrolling through TikTok and come across a few lives and the K2s are going nuts whilst they're live on the phone. It's like, and then I'll comment, you're live on the mobile phone that's causing that K2 to flicker, banned. Straight ban, you know what I mean? But that's just me having a laugh, scrolling through that. So I don't watch any paranormal teams that I don't think are legit anymore. Not even for a laugh. But what does really bother me is, even at work, someone will come up to me at work, show me the phone. Oh, have you seen this? Because obviously they know we're paranormal investigators, and they'll come and show myself and Mark. Oh, look at this. And it's a Smug Puppy video. And it's like, go watch Biddle get scared. And they do. And then the week after, they'll come to me with another video. Look at this. It's like, really haunted. Have you not learned yet? But it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating, and it's sad at the same time, because let's say I'm 18 years old, for instance, and I'm getting a little bit interested in the afterlife and such, you know, let's say one of my parents has passed away, that's got me interested in the afterlife. First place I go to is the biggest platform in the world, YouTube, or the internet in general. And the first thing that pops up, which it will do because the way the algorithm works, the way that YouTube pushes videos, is a fake video will come up. This house is really haunted. They'll click on it and maybe they'll believe what they've seen. So they'll continue watching and then they'll come across to one of our channels. Nothing's happened. Oh, that's boring. I'll never watch that again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the mind
John
is
Boy,
already
thank you
polluted.
for the £5.
The mind is polluted with the bullshit, you know. So,
that's what happened with me and the Ouija Brothers. First time I watched the Ouija Brothers, I was like, this is crap, nothing's happening. Turn over. Because I hadn't been out in so long. And then lockdown, I started watching them again. I was like, this is how it is. This is my experience. I don't know why I turned this off. Thank you for the £10 super sticker, Kathy Simons Hartman. I appreciate it. Joe Vitale.
I mean, like everyone has said already, I guess I can only add to it a little bit. Frustrating that a lot of these people who are just now coming into doing paranormal content, or even those who have been, they haven't been properly like taught or trained, however you want to put it. Obviously, they haven't watched like the paranormal, like not saying the paranormal shows is the correct way to do things, but I mean, there was that certain paranormal television show where they were actually debunking things, investigating, you know, and not running around screaming demons and stuff like that. Apparently they missed that show, but it's copy and paste. And when I look at it from a filmmaker's perspective, it's lazy with how they're putting their content together, what they're, you know, maybe 3 cameras, you know, a static camera somewhere where they're not at, and then two of them are holding their cameras in the same room, getting different shots and stuff like that, which is fine. But yeah, for me, I'm using at least 6 cameras. Sometimes I got to use 12 cameras and a DVR system just
you need to get
like,
laid.
and and that's a lot.
Shelley,
to go
thank you for
over.
the $13.99. Sorry, Joe.
That in itself is a lot of work, because not only am I trying to do content for YouTube, I'm trying to investigate and trying to do both at the same time. It's a lot of work, and it just kills me to see, oh, we're just going to run in here with a couple of cameras and then and then not even stay the entire time. I can't even tell you how many like these other channels, they go to a location, they're there for like 4 hours, and then they move on to their next location.
Yeah, there's a well-known team in the UK that they make out their location for the entire night, and they're not. They've hit 3 in one night. They spent 2 hours in each one, faked, not like ridiculous faking, but just enough little things to make them, oh, that scared me and things like that. And then they move on to another house. They do 3 or 4 in a night, so they've spent 6 hours to come up with a month's worth of footage. How lazy! How it gives me the ick. I need a shower after. And I'm not naming anyone specific. Paul's grinning over there because he knows exactly what I'm on about. But that is so lazy. It frustrates the shit out of me. It's like you're lying to your audience about even the location then, because you've lied about the time there. You've lied about where it is and in relation to these other properties. Because you're like, we've travelled all the way to... No, you haven't. You've done all of that in 6 hours, you lazy, lazy bastards. I drive 5.5 hours it takes me to get to 30 East Drive, investigate for 12 to 15 hours, and then 5.5 hours to drive home on like 2 hours sleep most of the time. Me and Paul have driven... How far? You know, he drives from Staffordshire borderline to Wales when we went to that church. And then he's going to drive all the way back up. We get one video, and then a fucking top 5 channel takes that video, edits our debunk out, and then says, look, there's a ghost. What the fuck?
That was so insulting.
Had that happen too.
Or Mr. Grey gets his content completely re-uploaded by another channel, and then they copyright strike him.
Wow.
I think the only thing is some of these the fakery channels just must see the paranormal that it's about. It becomes a joke. They must see it as a joke because obviously they're going in purely obviously for views and subscribers and to make something that looks legitimate, but actually essentially they're just trying to portray something as real when it isn't. So that they obviously don't give much of a shit about the paranormal, which is why they're going in with the attitude of this will be good, this will get the views up, and it's really disrespectful, to those who want to do this for legitimate reasons and they want to do and capture something that is actually genuine.
I think they'd be better off just being mini films. Why don't they just say it's for entertainment only and they're just like little mini films? They'd be so much more better doing it that way, because like you say, it's an insult to us who go out there and look for the real paranormal. And they'll just be so much more better off doing little mini films or little mini episodes, rather than just saying, oh yeah, it's real when it's blatantly not.
That aside, thank you for the $2. Last home investigation at 16 cameras for 13 hours. Jeez.
So a location that I had investigated for like 2 years. I was there almost every weekend. And then along comes this big YouTuber, goes in there. And I was actually there that night that he was there. I was just there hanging out with people who were doing the whole ghost hunting tour thing or whatever. Him and two of his buddies went to this location. You watch the video. They're like, oh, we're going to be sleeping here. We're spending the night in here. I'm like, no, they didn't. They were there for 4 hours. And then, I'm going to wake up really early and I'm going to get drone footage of the sunrise. No, dude, you got drone footage of the sunset. I actually made a video on that. And his team of people he has, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, his little network people, they went after my channel. I couldn't live stream for months. They went hard. And I even had the people who were running the tours on camera saying, he was here for 4 hours and they left. They pretended to lay down on the floor, which was disgusting, and pretend like they were sleeping.
It's like, they're not only lying about paranormal activity, they're lying about the time of the day, the location, what they did whilst they were there. Yeah. It's just, it just goes beyond believable.
Thank you for the $5. Catch me out to alert me to me ignoring chat. Freestorm asks, I'd never heard of channels like Really Haunted until I watched the debunkers. It had me check him out, so I can't stand him. Do you worry that bringing them up takes people there? Unfortunately, it does. But at least you're going in there in the knowledge that it's all fake. Lee Ashwood Richardson, thank you for the £5. I haven't been able to watch live tonight. We'll catch up tomorrow. Just pop in and say how much I appreciate the work all you guys do. Thank you, Lee. I appreciate that. Sam Hain, fantastic live. Thanks for keeping it real. I mean, we've got, at some points tonight, we've hit nearly 900 people in here tonight. All for the real paranormal. That's incredible. Everyone in the chat, please go and subscribe to these channels because they're not only friends of mine, they're good, honest investigators or ghost hunters, whatever you want to call them, depending on your own belief system. But they're honest people that I've struck up great friendships with. Please go and check them all out.
Real quick, I Am Spooky Goose is in the house. Go check him out. He does some debunking as well. In fact, he's the guy who took a look at our footage from the Conjuring house with the chair rocking. Go ahead and shout that person out, Beardo.
Yeah, Spooky Goose, wherever you are. Thing is, because I'm on StreamYard, I can't do a lot that I normally do. Right, Paranormal Torch, thank you for the $4.99. Been doing this since 2003. I was in charge of a big location. And for a while, we booked teams in. I'll tell you a few stories and would love to talk about it live. That's going to upset some people. I'm in.
He was actually able to figure out what caused this rocking chair to move in our documentary. Matt and I took a look at it. We compared, analyzed it again. He was right. Not once did we sit there and try to argue with that guy. Everything was just respectful. And he was correct. And we turned around. We had to do a video saying, hey, here's what this guy found. We agree. debunked.
That's brilliant. And
Can I
that's
just
why
say
I
something
think that's
about
how it
that?
should be.
it is definitely, yeah.
I just want to say a little bit
Sorry, I
about.
was just about to say. Sorry,
Go on, sorry, you go
every
first.
time. No, I was just about to say that's how it should be between the paranormal teams and the debunkers. It should be respectful like that, because at the end of the day, if they have found something and they've debunked it, then one, you're not lying to yourself, you're not lying to your audience, and it's not like it's false, if you get what I'm trying to say, because you'll go down that road of it being false. After watching a few debunkers myself, I've learned to go to a abandoned building, sit in that building for about half hour to an hour and get to know the sounds of the building, of the natural sounds of the wood settling. I've even done a bit of research into houses and, Victorian plumbing, etc. So I think that's how it should be between debunkers and paranormal groups. It should just be respectful. And if they find something, don't argue with them. Just take their opinion on board, because I think it really does help.
Honestly, I struggle with being respectful to the fakers. I'm more respectful to people that are misguided, and I'll try to steer them in the right direction. But 9 times out of 10, the first thing out of their mouth is, "You're bullying me." And I'm like, well, do you know what? F you, then I'm going to make jokes and I'm going to ridicule and I'm going to mock. And, the whole rare thing came from me mocking somebody because he got his arm stuck in a cloak. And it's like, is that bullying, or am I just having a laugh at their expense? Like, they have a laugh at our expense and actually damage what we do and what we want to find. Right, so we've got Kev K waiting in the background. I've also just sent the link to Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle wants to join. So, Steve and Dolly, do you mind if I ask you guys to jump out so I can get Kev and Kenny on? Because if we put 7 channels in, we're in a mess.
No, that's absolutely fine. Can I just say, though, thank you so much for having us, guys. And it's lovely to meet all of you as well. Thank you so much for having us, Beardo. And
Absolute
all
pleasure.
The best, guys. So that's us out. Good night.
Take care, guys.
Thanks,
Keep up
guys.
the great work.
Guys, go and subscribe to Paranormal by the Sea. They're
Thank
great.
you. Good
And
night.
you'll see them get arrested quite often. It's great. Right, thanks, guys. Right, remove and then add in Mr. Handsome.
Oh, thanks for the
doing,
compliment, Beardo.
So this is Kev. Right, I'm probably been saying your name wrong. Is it Kev Kerr or Kev K?
Kev Kerr.
Kev Kerr.
With the Gloucestershire twang, Kerr. Yeah.
You just want to give everyone a little rundown of what it is you do, because what you do is want to make me learn more.
So I've been investigating 15 years. I've done residential investigation, working with ASAP, SPR, the National Register of Professional Investigators, as well as investigating random locations, trying to find if ghosts are real or not, coming from a skeptical scientific aspect. Sort of an open-minded investigator. So the way I look at it is I want to find the truth, whatever that is, whether it's real or not, whether it's psychological, whether it's physical, whether it's anything, basically.
Lily Jade, thank you for the $14.99. Hi from Australia. Thank you for everything you do. You guys opened my eyes to all the fakers and made content more enjoyable. Love to you and Mrs. Beardo. Thank you very much, Lily. Don't forget to subscribe to all these awesome people as well, because they're all doing good work. I think I've got another one there. Don S, thank you for the £2. So obviously I've asked the other guys questions. Ev, have you ever walked out of a location and thought, that's haunted, or potentially haunted?
A couple where I've sort of thought that needs further investigation, that needs looking at properly. There was one National Trust place. Can't say which one it is because it's all confidential, but left the place thinking we didn't do enough at all. On the final night, we were there for 3 nights. On the final night, you could just sit there quietly and you could hear things that were happening. I believe I saw a full apparition whilst we were investigating, which doesn't happen. At the same time as Kit reacting to that situation and stopping at the same time, which was just absolutely fucking mind-blowing. And you'd hear footsteps, or you think someone was in a room and you'd almost be able to tell, and you could walk around a corner and you'd go like, oh, okay. And then there's no one in there. It was one of those places where that was happening so often But it was kind of then kind of looking at it thinking I could do a lot here to try and test this and get more data and that kind of thing. Other places, flat as anything, you walk in and you think there's no point. There's nothing there.
Bro Judas, thank you for the $2. We all like ham. He's a menace, that man. Right, we've also got one of the most skeptical people I've ever met in my life, but also one of the nicest. We got Mr. Kenny Biddle coming in. Hello, Kenny.
Hey there. Hey. How you doing?
Here he is.
He's so happy all the time.
That's because I'm drunk all the time.
Our parade is about to be pissed on.
Oh, shut up. I just came on to annoy you, Joe.
So, Kenny, same thing as with Kevin and the others. Can you just give us a quick rundown of what it is you do? And introduce yourself.
My name is Kenny Biddle. I am the chief investigator for the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, and I've been doing this job for several years. I freelanced for Skeptical Inquirer magazine. So basically I write articles and produce videos where I investigate claims of the paranormal, whether it's ghosts or aliens, UFOs, monsters, religious mysteries, whatever. And I approach it from a more scientific, skeptical point of view. And I publish my results, everything that I do. So, and then I have the opportunity to work with some of you fine folk and on collaborations on different projects and figuring out, bouncing ideas off of each other so that we can figure out what's really going on. And I also tour around. I do lectures and workshops across the country, across the states, teaching people about photographic anomalies, how to edit some videos in order to incorporate special effects to make a lot of the viral videos we have, and basically how to investigate from a scientific point of view. So that's me in a nutshell.
Take that on your 22 awards, Joe. Sorry, 24.
Where are they all, Joe? I don't see them in the background.
I do have one next to a photo of Jason Haas, who Beardo just absolutely loves Jason Haas's voice, by the way.
Got a good voice.
We have to pay for those things. Those things are anywhere from $200 to $800 freaking dollars or some shit. They're expensive. They don't just give them to you like, oh, here you go. No, you got to buy them.
That's bullshit. I mean, I can go to the store and buy one.
Yeah.
Put anything I want on it.
Yeah.
Hey, so we've got a question there. I was waiting for this. Kev Kerr, what do you think to disingenuous video descriptions? Terrifying, paranormal, but nothing happens. It's very annoying.
I think it's a requirement for YouTube, for your traffic, for everything else. I don't think it's something that's damaging to the paranormal. I think it's one of those clickbait things that are just required. I think once, as you guys know, once you're on YouTube, you got to massage the algorithm. You got to get people interested. It doesn't matter how good your content is. It's getting people into that first step. So for me, it is sometimes it's irritating, but at the same time, you look at a headline of something in the news, and you can look and go, I see what they've done there. They've kind of tried to make it new deadly disease sweeping the nation. You know, people instantly think COVID, so they put that kind of stuff just to get you in. And it's obvious. I think when it's clickbait, it should be, for the right-minded person, it should be obvious that it's not terrifying. It's not to be followed, but you need to do it in order to get people to view what you're doing, in order to get the views and the followers, in order to get the traffic through your channel, all of those kind of things. So it's a way of getting information across. So,
yeah, I mean,
I don't mind them. I don't fall for them. So
I've been guilty of it. I put up a thumbnail. It wasn't a blatant lie, but it's the closest I've ever done. And the thumbnail had a Ouija board on fire and all this, and I spent ages making it. And the title of it was "The Most Terrifying Ouija Board I've Ever Seen in My Life: Video Evidence." And it was a Smug Puppy video where you could see all of the tricks they were doing. And everyone was like, you clickbaited us. And I was like, but if it was real, it was terrifying. It's kind of based in the truth, but it's got you all to watch it. And I've just pointed out how fake it is and exactly how they've done it. Mm-hmm. So where was the harm my end? Because if Paul puts out a video with, we investigated a demon at the demon house, and says at the end of the video, we've investigated, there's no demon, then that clickbait has brought the right audience in that potentially people could learn from it, because they've fallen for clickbait. But at the end of it, as long as it's an honest investigation, it could actually do some good.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think the alternative is you're absolutely honest, and your title could be 5 hours and nothing happened.
Nothing.
Right?
Clicking on it.
And that's the reality. And you know, and that point, if you stop, I mentioned before, I fully understand clickbait because, like Kev said, it's you're just trying to get the people in, and some people think, well, that you're faking. Well, no, you're not faking, because if the content is genuine, but you're just basically just trying to get those initial viewers to come in and watch your video, because the alternative is you don't do anything, you don't do any clickbait, you just say what it is, so many hours and nothing happened, nobody watches your video, nobody subscribes, and everybody goes to fake channels. That's the alternative.
My thing is this: how many times can a team go to a location and almost die? Right? They didn't almost die. It's false. It's false advertising. I mean, it's
almost fell through a roof.
I mean,
I nearly got my head caved in. So yeah, I nearly died that night.
Right, but every week certain teams or a team almost dies, and they come nowhere near close to that. But that's what they'll throw into their title. It's like it's false advertising.
It is.
If that makes sense.
I don't think there's just two extremes here. I'll disagree on that, where it's either you tell them, like, oh my God, this is the worst place I've ever been to, or nothing happened for 5 hours. I mean, you could just say, we investigated so-and-so house. I mean, that's fine. But like really recently, I came across a video that was titled, it was for the Conjuring house. It's from a few years ago, but it said Unsolved Mysteries Cold Case, Real Body Found in Conjuring House. And I mean, that title is false advertising. It's deceptive, because it's telling you that they found a real body, and they did not. I watched the whole freaking video, and they didn't find anything. They didn't find a body. They didn't actually find a grave. They didn't find anything.
Clicked on it.
I mean, I think that's
you watched the whole video.
I mean, I watched the whole video. I mean, so you wouldn't have to.
Did you feel like an ass afterwards?
No, because I expected it. I've been in this game long enough that I know clickbait when I see it, and I also follow the news. So I would have known if there was a body.
There's limits on like the ethical level of what you can describe. There's no doubt about it. But as I say, the media in general, you click on any news homepage,
right,
and every headline is manipulative. It's manipulated to make you go, oh, what's that? And click on it. And really, you do click on it. It's quite boring. There's nothing to it. But it's that initial get the click for the algorithm, for the advertising, the money.
That's
which is part of the whole world now. Is how it works. And I think
it's not just the paranormal. It's everywhere. I mean, there was one today. There was one today saying Freddy Krueger is being recast as DJ Quails. I was like, oh, that could work. And I clicked on it, and then I've seen the stuff under it. Not a chance. It's still held up in legal tape and everything. That movie ain't coming out. But they've made a film poster about it coming out in 2024. I'm like, wow, you better get a move on with it. But it's not just the paranormal. It's everywhere for everything. It's whatever gets people to click. But there's a difference between an out-and-out lie and then a bit clickbaity. I think we're all guilty of a bit clickbait. Well, Kenny's not.
I tell you exactly what I'm doing. I mean, if I do, honestly, like Justin, like you said, like if I have a video and it's an hour of nothing, like it's an hour of me sitting in the dark doing nothing, I will title it that.
Yeah.
I just want you to know. If you don't want to watch it, that's fine. But
I just say, in my title, this is where we're at. This is what we're investigating. That's it. Nothing catchy, nothing like that. I think I could have used a funny little thing, a clip or a thumbnail for like the Bel Air house with the with me getting food poisoning. But
well, see, this is what you got to do, Joe. You've got to attack that algorithm, or
poison
people say algorithm. They don't understand it. It's not an algorithm as such as people. You've got to hook people, and your thumbnail, your title, it is the hook. Don't bother with your description because nobody reads it. I had a meeting with a YouTube partner manager last week, and she was like, "You need to fill out your descriptions," and I was like, "I've done fine so far without filling them out because nobody reads them. What's the point? Oh, you don't use hashtags." So I was like, "No," and Bill, look. You know, I have done descriptions, I have done hashtags, I haven't noticed a difference. It's all about when people scroll, the first thing they see, and you need your content to drag their eye in. You know, there's methods behind it, like yellow backgrounds attract people, and I've done that. I've put a yellow brick wall behind a photo of me, and I was flipping off. Oh my gosh! It was just purely to, you know, I haven't really given the guy the finger in real life, but it was, you know. Well, hang on, what's Biddle doing now? Big yellow background, so your eyes are drawn in, and then there's the finger, there's Omar's shocked face, and you know, it was a debunking video, not me flipping him off. I think I did call him out on some shady stuff as well, but you have to do it.
I think
I
what
think
makes it
You got to
makes it
have.
more difficult. Sorry, guys. What makes it more difficult?
I can
is
barely
that-
hear him.
Yeah, Paul's mic
no.
has been quiet.
See, I've turned it up on the main.
Yeah, I turned you up as well. I don't know why yours is so
I
quiet.
don't know what's going on there.
One thing I think we haven't really talked about is the influence of these fake channels on the general public, because I think it's huge. And the thing is, you know, you have members of the public who are not fully maybe up to speed with a true paranormal investigation or how to do things properly. They see these fake channels. They're then, you know, the public's, if they have an interest in those kinds of things, the first thing they're probably going to do is go to a ghost event company. They go to the ghost event company, and because I used to work for a ghost event company, I know that people have a completely unreal expectation of what they're going to face when they get to a location. They get there and nothing happens, and so therefore then the ghost event company then feels the need to then provide them with all the gadgets and the gizmos and the Ouija boards and the dowsing rods or whatever they want to use to make it seem as if they're having a legitimate paranormal experience. But initially, I think a lot of that has come from TV shows and YouTube. I'm going to say I do think that there's a, you know, in terms of the fakery thing has had an impact on what the general public think about the paranormal.
I can
Yeah, it
add
does.
a personal experience to that,
100%.
where I went to an event, a pay-to-play event, and it was for the general public, and something happened where there was somebody outside, and they were talking loudly. They started yelling at someone, but you could barely hear it. Unless you were on that side of the building, you couldn't hear it. Somebody's recorder picked it up, though. And when they played it back, they could hear this, you know, EVP. That's what they kept calling it. And there were several of us that said, no, like, we heard the people. We can tell you exactly what they said, this and that. And the person running the event told us to shut up because they paid to be here and we got to give them something. And I was like, all right, well, see ya. I'm leaving then, because this is completely dishonest. And you are sending these people home with the belief that they had an experience, a genuine experience, and you're not offering any explanation. You're not setting the record straight. You're lying to them. So that's bullshit.
I've been to a few events myself, and you know, here comes the REM pods and these all these other devices, and it lights up. They're like, oh my god, you know, convincing people that something paranormal is happening. But see, if you give that explanation, if you give another explanation, well, they can't sell tickets,
Right?
And you're not going to get the word of mouth advertisement for more people to buy and show up. And I hate those. I can't stand those events at all. They're
I went to one, never again. Paul, what was you going to say then?
So we work closely with an events company. We're in partnership with an events company, and just like the Ouija brothers, luckily, you know, we get to these locations and investigate for free of charge. So it's great for us. But what I will say is that before every event starts, they have like a chat, and they explain that the chances of you seeing an apparition tonight, or a shadow figure, or anything you've seen on TV, are slim to none. 1 in a million. So if you've come for that, you've come for the wrong reason. So they pre-warn them that their expectations should be low. They do provide the equipment, the REM pods, the Ouija boards. They do the table tipping, but that's more of productive to get involved and to give them some little bit of excitement and to try out new things. But yeah, I think some event companies could be just doing things to sell tickets.
So
You
like,
know,
can I ask,
Go on, Kenny.
like when you have this talk with the people on the tour, do you also explain things like the ideomotor effect and other things like that, or is it just presented as here are some spirit gadgets, they could detect paranormal activity and leave it at that?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much just leave it at that. There's the gadgets, and yeah.
But you have to in the say an event, because you are selling tickets, you've got to entertain in some way, and it can be done the right way. The Jamaican paranormal team, Corinne Bassant's team, I know they do it because I've been there to do it, and I've also advised them on different things. They use REM pods, EMF meters, Ouija boards, all that kind of stuff that people expect, but they don't just go, this is a ghost detector in any way, shape, or form. They explain what it's actually doing, and that actually, if you do get something, it's not necessarily a ghost. It's not necessarily a thing. They kind of go, please understand that this is a entertainment purposes situation, and there are scientific answers to what.
That's fantastic.
What is actually happening, and that's what I absolutely love about it. That's why it's really one of the only events where I say, like, if you want that properly done, and what they actually find is they sell more tickets because there's actually a bigger audience that want answers and the proper things to be put forward and to understand what the paranormal is. So they actually sell out for years in advance because they're doing it properly and they're explaining it and they're giving the full picture. Because every event I've ever seen, tends to be the missus is into it. I'm just coming along with her. I think it's a load of bullshit. And then they're getting fed as well. They're getting entertained because they're going, oh yeah. So there's an answer to that. Oh, that's interesting. So it's just covering the full audience. So these people who do manipulate and fake stuff to get people to buy tickets, they're just missing a trick completely. They're missing the rest of the audience in their event. If the guys, I always say guy, but it can be both ways around. But basically, if you're covering your full audience, you're most likely to get a couple back for an event because both of them enjoyed it, not just the poor other partner kind of being dragged along behind because they're trying to help their relationship or whatever they're up to. So it's like I don't see the logic in these events teams that do it that way and fake stuff and just say, all right, yeah, come on, come back. Because you will have critical thinkers in the audience who go, all right, whatever, that wasn't that.
Kenny in the background going, bullshit.
I do think the tide is changing, though. I've got to say. I mean, and TV shows, certainly in the UK, things are changing. So it is much more of a critical stance that people are taking now, which is absolutely to be applauded. I just hope that carries on in the mainstream stuff, because the legitimate channels or on YouTube, or those who are doing it and going about the right way, their views are going up. The fakery channels, their views are generally tending to go down. And I think people are tired of being duped due to fakery. I think people are getting more and more pissed off with it. And TV is responding to that. Mainstream TV is responding to that. Yeah, certainly in the UK. I don't know how it is in the US.
The Danny Robbins stuff is I think it's fantastic. Amazing. I love. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Kieran O'Keefe is sort of like the golden boy of debunking for me, because initially he was presented as a bit of a villain. He was like the guy on.
I used to hate him in Most Haunted.
Yeah, I did.
But now I love him.
And you grow up and you're like, damn it, he was the only honest one there. Well, no, there's the other guy that I completely forgot about. I can't remember his name. Bill?
Richard Felix.
Richard Felix was a good guy. Phil
Wyman?
Phil Wyman and Kieran O'Keefe. They're the only ones from that show I got the time of day for. But Fred Batts, he's not a demonologist, he's a nightclub owner.
The other thing too is, and I have gotten these messages from people on Facebook saying, I'm going to this location and all these other teams have been there and it's wild, it's crazy, I can't wait. And then wanting advice from me, and I'm like, lower your expectations. Lower your expectations. And then I'll hear back from them, oh, we went and nothing happened. And they were upset. And then they wanted to blame the location or the location owner because they think that place is fake or whatever. It's like, no. That is whoever went in there and put out videos of how crazy it's supposed to be. That's on them. They gave people an unrealistic expectation of a location. People go there and they're disappointed. I get a lot of that stuff.
Beardo, can you do me a favor? Could you just pull up Will to Wright's his last comment?
How far up was it?
It's quite far up, to be fair.
Will to Wright is the guy with the massive pecs, isn't he?
Yeah, that's him. He's been on Facebook all day commenting. I just want to...
I can't see him.
Can you not find it? I'll read it out. Am I the odd one out here? I want the 100% truth, no bullshit. None at all. I can't believe people are saying you have to say that to make people watch. So with the clickbait. I mean, he's been talking about this all day. Obviously, you don't like clickbait. We've gathered that. If you want the 100% truth, YouTube is the wrong place. I just want to put that out there for you. You have got to go out and investigate yourself and have a personal experience if you want to 100% believe in the paranormal. I can capture, any of us could capture a full apparition on camera. No one would believe it, but the ones who captured it. So that is your answer. You know?
Yeah.
And that's not me being a dick about it. That is the just honest answer.
At the end of the day, YouTube is a entertainment platform run by Google. You've got to treat it like a Google search engine to a degree. So, listen, I'm in full agreement with his anger at it that we have got to stoop to those levels to get our content viewed.
I agree.
We should be able to just say, I went to this haunted house for 5 hours, saw it all happened, but look at the mold. If people would click on it.
I've been to that point.
And I think everyone here would agree that, even though there are those who go out there and we show what actually happens, how it really is, it still doesn't show the complete picture of what we are doing. There's only so much that we can put in our videos. We only have so much time at a location and things like that. I mean, still, even though we're putting things out there that are honest, it doesn't give that bigger picture of the entire situation.
I mean, the only way to do it completely honest is Justin, I don't know if this was on stream or off stream, but earlier on, Justin said you have to go in, record everything, multiple cameras, run it beginning to end, and then upload every single camera individually to YouTube. Who is going to sit through that?
Right.
Nobody, because I do that. After I put out my episodes, I put that shit out there. Literally, the last one we just did, Ashmore Estates, right when it was done, I know it probably drove my members nuts, but boom, here's all this footage, all unedited footage. And I looked at the analytics in like maybe a minute or two at best.
Right.
I think Fred Bat read his certificate incorrectly. He's a dermatologist, not a demonologist.
I think it's hard to say with confidence that something is honest. And I know we all try to be as honest as possible, but you guys, like Joe, like what you said, you upload all your footage. But the thing is, like for most videos, even the videos that we do, we're showing people the videos that we pick. So, I mean, that's trying to be honest, but again, you're not getting the full story.
Right.
So, and when it comes to clickbait, I'm going to switch gears here, but when it comes to clickbait, it's not just on YouTube. I mean, this is everywhere. I'm used to reading a lot of academic papers that come out on various topics. And when the news media publishes about it or promotes it, often the clickbait is ridiculous. You read the headline, and it very little of the headline is actually in the article. in the body of the article, or has anything to do with
Yeah.
the paper itself, the academic paper. So it's all over the place. And that's why, unfortunately, it just takes a lot of time for what we do, is because I have to read that paper. I have to read that article, and then I have to go to the paper to make sure things line up. And we see it all, even the newspaper. I mean, shit, the recent thing about the Conjuring House on the market. I mean, we saw that when that blew up, people were going crazy with that over the last day and a half. You know, and
false.
Yeah, that was out on news websites. We're posting that and not realizing, like, no, if you went to the source, you found out that it wasn't true. And that's why clickbait sucks. I mean, I hate clickbait. I understand trying to draw attention, but I think there's other ways to draw attention, and not just outright lying to people. So that's my 2 cents.
See, I think people's attention span throughout the years, the attention span is just lowered because mobile phones now, let's look at TikTok, YouTube Shorts, 30-second videos, it's womp, 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 and then something catches you, oh, what's that?
Right.
You know, that's YouTube when you're scrolling. Something's got to catch your eye. So you've then got to make your thumbnail captivating, your title to get that person to click on your video. And like Kenny's just said and Kev said earlier on, that is going on all over the news, headlines, everything.
One thing. Oh, sorry, go on.
Wayne,
carry on.
Sorry, Wayne, I think I just answered that question. He says, if there's no real evidence of the paranormal, then what's the explanation for all of your paranormal encounters? Our own encounters.
Yeah.
Our own experiences. And that is it. You know,
a 2-hour conversation in itself.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big question. It's not just a simple answer. I mean, there's a lot of misinterpretation, mistakes, optical illusions, audio illusions. There's a lot. And unfortunately, I mean, I understand that personal experiences are probably the most profound when people have them, but they're also the worst kind of evidence that you could possibly think to accept, because we can be so easily fooled. Just go to any good magic show, even a half decent piss poor magic show, and you'll be amazed at some of the tricks. So we can't rely on personal anecdotes or stories. You have an experience, that's cool, but maybe run it by other people and try to replicate it. I mean, that's the first thing you should do. Try to replicate it and see what happens, or talk to other people that have knowledge in certain areas that might be able to help explain what's going on. But face value, you cannot take personal experiences as evidence.
But what about
thank you
if
for the
4
5
people...
gifted.
Sorry, Kenny.
No,
what happened if 4 people witnessed exactly the same thing at the same time?
So there's an issue with that. Okay. What are you doing, Kevin? I see you like
Paul,
no,
you're gonna get this. I've been there with Kenny.
You're
You're about to get the same answer.
Oh no! Sorry.
Open the can of worms and you just dump them all over my head.
No, I love it though because I love listening. I love listening to this. You know.
So if you have 4 people, the first thing that needs to be done is you immediately have to separate them. If you have them all together and you are getting on scene hours or days or weeks later, it's invalid. It's useless. I mean, you can get their story and it's a cool story, bro, but that's all it is, a story. You need to separate those witnesses as soon as possible before they have a chance to talk about it.
Call it a spontaneous witness statement.
Yes.
The second it happens, I've got forms that I carry with me that basically the second it happens, you give them a form and a pen, you tell them to fuck off to a different corner and you write down what you saw. You don't say a word.
Whips, write that down.
They will influence each other. They will fill in the gaps. People will take other stories from other people or details from the other person and incorporate them into their story. And we've seen this happen time and time again with studies with memory and with eyewitness recall. You see this over and over again. So different descriptions also mean different things to different people. So if somebody says something like, oh, that book came off the shelf and it flew across the room, like that could mean something as easily as it fell off the shelf and went a few inches on the floor, or it catapulted across the room into another room. You have to separate them and you have to start asking clarifying questions, because too many people, the example that I give is usually when someone tells me, hey, I saw an apparition and it was wearing period dress. Like, my first question in my head is, what the fuck does that mean? Oh, am I allowed to say fuck?
No.
Okay.
You know whose channel you're on, right?
Like, what does that mean? What does period dress mean? There are so many different variations of that. So you have to start asking questions. If you have 4 people that say, oh, yeah, we saw a shadow figure down the end of the hall. Okay, that's one story. That's not telling me anything. You saw a shadow. Okay, great. And again, if they're all talking together, they're all giving you different pieces of that story. They absolutely 100% need to be separated as soon as it happens, and then questioned about their story.
It can even be the previous
Well,
information.
that's. I think that's
you
me
go
done.
to a place like with history, people know the history when they go in. So, they know that, say, in the chapel, someone's experienced a shadow person, and then they experience something. They've already got that information in their head. They haven't even communicated, so they automatically assume, oh, it's a shadow person. Those details can just build and build and build. And when you get on camera, I've got some amazing footage of it happening to me and a friend. God, you could really pull some details together. And that communication isn't just verbally, that's also like pointing at the area where, oh, did you see that? Or that just happened, or all these different things have to be taken into account. So when people say, well, it wasn't just me that saw it, it means absolutely nothing to me as an investigator.
Right. And also, one last point, you could have an actual physical event that 4 people witnessed. It could have been a shadow. Like, just for an example, hypothetical situation, a shadow does go across the hall at the end of a hallway, and 4 people saw it. That doesn't mean that it's a shadow figure or if it's an apparition or anything. It could literally be a shadow because a light went through a window, past a window, and was blocked by something and actually caused a shadow. That's why replication is also very important at the beginning. Like, go down, investigate it. Don't pull a dude run and run away and not actually go investigate. The worst thing, man, one of the worst things I cannot stand is when someone calls themselves a paranormal investigator and they fail to investigate the shit that they claim happened.
Has any of you ever run?
No.
Nope.
No.
I walk quickly towards it. Because I want to see what's going on.
I've run at things.
Yeah.
I've walked slowly towards it, worried about something that might happen to me, but I've not run away.
I don't run anywhere.
One thing I just wanted to mention one other thing is that, let's say, like, we used to do a lot of live streams, and we used to, because it was, we preferred to do lots of live streams rather than it all being edited episodes. One thing that we used to do was we used to have locked off camera, like Easter Eye, for instance, locked off camera. We'd go out for a couple of hours and then lock up the property, and we would let people just listen in live on headphones to whatever may be happening. And a little bit like your experience, Biddle, we were getting knocks and taps and things playing around with the microphone, and we had voices and male voices and female voices and voices in Latin, for instance. And so for us, thinking, well, that's really interesting because we know that this is, coming from directly around the camera, the microphone and things like that. But because of the fakery that's out there, anything which we think may be genuine doesn't even make a ripple in terms of viewers or subscribers or anything. And we're going, actually, we think we might have something. It doesn't figure, because there are so many bigger, weirder, things that are being faked that's out there. So I just think that the smaller channels, the genuine channels, if they do get stuff happening, they've got to work harder to prove that it's, a real experience than these other channels that fake stuff every week.
Yep.
2 seconds. Right, Will to Rights. I get that you're pissed, but YouTube's the wrong platform. I don't know how many ways you want us to say it. You keep typing in capitals. It's just making me not want to read your comments. Sorry. And Julie Cross, not interested what you debunkers have to say. Then why are you watching? I've been Paranormal have probably got a video out. Go there. There are 526 people all trying to talk at the same time. We can't get around everyone. And, 6 people on the panel. all talking. This was never going to be a me reading comments out. I've put it in the scrolling thing down there. I don't know what
If
to
you're
tell
not
you.
interested in what debunkers have got to say, then you're not interested in the paranormal, as far as I'm concerned.
I
And
mean,
you're
if we're
certainly in
answering
the-
questions, you have to listen to us. I don't understand what that statement was for.
With this many people in there, I don't even know. I don't know how anybody can keep up with that. I have a hard time keeping up with 40 or 50 people in my chats.
Yeah.
Sorry, I very rarely I
frozen
chew
you.
people out, but I keep seeing the same names shouting the same thing over and over, and it's like, don't like the bunkers. Why are you watching? Oh well, back to it. How much time have you guys got?
As long
I
as you
haven't got
want.
long.
I got
Yeah.
all night.
Yeah, I'm all right.
If
I've got
anyone
work
does
at
need to,
6 a.m.
yeah, if anyone does need to dip out, feel free. Normally I end at 9, but there's so many questions, so many people still here. If people want to carry on, carry on. But if anyone needs to go, then by all means you can.
I do want to put out there that belief and psychology plays probably the biggest role in the paranormal.
Yeah.
And we see this all the time. You know, people genuinely believe that they have captured something. They want to believe for various reasons. Sometimes it's, you know, people want, like, we see people throwing photos out there. Look, I captured this. You know, it could be an orb. And you give them the explanation as to what's happening. And a lot of times they act like you like kick their dog or something. That's how mad they get.
Yeah.
But at the same time, too, it's like there are people who want so badly to experience something and be a part of something that they're just going to take something at face value and believe it, regardless if somebody can come up with other explanations as to why they had captured something.
Yeah, and
The way I used to look at it was, so back when I used to do it, it wasn't necessarily, social media wasn't huge. If you were skeptical, you definitely didn't get a following, that was for sure. You probably had about 40 people like your page or something, you know, that was your limits. But what we've got to understand when we're talking about the paranormal, we're talking about belief. Belief is personal to that person.
Yeah.
And the reason you get that reaction that people feel bullied or feel like you're, you know, going against them is you're telling them in certain cases that their loved one who's passed on isn't anywhere, they've gone, or they've got that emotional attachment. And as a skeptic and as a debunker, you have to understand that you are offending someone because of their own belief system. That's not your fault in that sense, is how they take it, but that's where it comes from. It comes from that deep-seated need for either the afterlife to be real or this mystical stuff that they developed through trauma response. You're prodding at their protection, so you're going to get bitten. Like it's part and process of what you do.
Yeah, part of me and Kenny are opposite ends of the spectrum in some regards. But when somebody comes to us and says, "Oh, I can smell cigarette smoke, I think my mum is visiting," we have both said it. Listen, if that makes you feel better, if you think your mum is visiting, don't let anyone tell you it's wrong. Have that. I don't debunk the paranormal. I debunk fake paranormal channels. If somebody sends me a bit of footage in an email, I'll respond with, "Do you really want to know the truth?" Because if, you know, what's the story behind it? I had one guy and he's like, "Right, my kids are terrified of the garage because we've captured this apparition."
I'm sorry,
He
what?
sent me the
What was that word?
What?
What was that word?
Garage.
What is that?
Garage.
Garage.
Get him out.
Garage.
Garage.
What it was a spider web in front of a cheap, like a Ring camera or something like that. And I'm like, right, is this a personal thing? He's like, "No, my kid's terrified." All right, fine. It's a spider web. As they're pulling the kitchen door, it's creating a vacuum into the garage and it's pulling a spider web across. That's why he's done it. And then he checked his footage, comes back. He's like, "Every time we shut the kitchen door, the ghost walks past. Thank you very much." So that I don't feel bad about. But yeah, when it comes to personal stuff, I'm very, very careful in what I say. I wouldn't. Somebody says the mum is in visiting, then by all means your mum's in visiting. Don't let us tell you any different. Or if it's helping you feel better, have it. If you're scaring the shit out of you, I'll tell you it's fake. Probably.
When it comes to stuff like that, and I often get that question, because this is what I do. And when it comes to a personal story about a loved one that recently passed, I'm right there with you. Like, my first statement is, does this make you feel comfort? Does it make you feel good? Yes. Then I really don't have anything to say. You know, like, as long as you're not going out there and starting, you know, your own church of you know, George, and trying to collect money in order based on this experience, then I have no problem with it. I mean, that brings you comfort. Hey, have at it, you know, enjoy it, cherish it, because that's your loved one. I have no say in that. Now, if you go on a TV show and you start telling people like, this is absolutely 100% true and you need to all believe me, then I might comment, because now it's out there in public, and everything in public is open to scrutiny. I mean, I'll still be polite and professional about it, but it's open. But and I have a question for you, Beardo. What do you mean that we're on opposite ends of the spectrum? What does that mean? Can you clarify that?
It's probably not the right term, but what I mean by that is, like, I'm a believer because of personal experiences. But there's certain things that will happen, and my brain will kick into, what would Kenny see, or what would Mr. Gree see, being the more skeptical side of it. And then, like, I've sent footage to Mr. Gree. What could this be, or what do you think this is? Like, me and Steve captured what I thought was a voice at a location. Mr. Gree was like, well, listening to your chest mic and your camera mic, it was closer to you. It's a throat gurgle. You just haven't heard it. I didn't cry about it and then say, but he's skeptical, and I value his opinion into it. So in that aspect, you and Mr. Gree and me are opposite ends of that sort of spectrum, if you know what I mean. But I've tried to find the middle ground.
I guess, I mean, that's the same. I mean, I wouldn't say opposite, because you're looking for an answer. I mean, you're not outright believing it and then posting it on social media saying, look what I got. I got an absolute ghost. You're looking for an answer, and you got an answer. It's a logical answer. He can explain it in detail, and you considered it, you accepted it, and that's it. I mean, I think that's what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. I think the only difference between us, at least that I observe, is that I don't have those beliefs in an afterlife, and I'm still looking though. I'm still looking. I'm still going out, just trying to find it. I just don't maintain any of those beliefs. So I think we're more alike than you think. Like, connected.
Yes, we are.
There is a question for Kenny and I. What got y'all into the paranormal and debunking?
Oh, you want to? For me, I mean, I'll try and condense it. Basically, I grew up Catholic. I had this belief instilled in me, ingrained in me from the beginning, that there was an afterlife, that miracles could happen, that spooky stuff would happen. I also grew up with In Search of, Unsolved Mysteries, those kind of TV shows. So monsters and ghosts and UFOs were part of my upbringing. I'm also a big nerd. So science fiction and fantasy, yes, I'm totally there. Got into ghost hunting when I figured that, well, when I grew up and had adult money and I could go out, I was like, yeah, I can do this. All right, cool. Joined a couple clubs, and then realized that not everything was as it seemed. And I had a personal experience, which is a long story. I won't get into it here, but basically it showed me that I was mistaken for a ghost. Ghost hunters actually thought I was a ghost and would not accept any of the information that I gave them. And that really set me on the course of looking at the skeptical literature, like Skeptical Inquirer magazine, which is right here. And that led to more knowledge in photography and video editing and audio editing and all this stuff. So the more I learned, the more I realized that a lot of mistakes were being made. And I decided to try to turn that knowledge over to everyone else so that I can help educate and improve the quality of everyone's work. So now that's what I do. I write and make videos and try to educate people.
Amy and Ozzy, thank you for the 11 months. And that's probably a better way of putting what I said. Absolutely. Different perspectives of the same spectrum.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah. For me, long story short, having experiences, I didn't want anything to do with like any kind of paranormal investigating anyways. I I thought that was just stuff you'd see on TV anyhow. I kind of got dragged into it when it comes to like being interested in debunking. I mean, like part of being a paranormal investigator is actually like debunking. You're supposed to like listen to these claims, just something simple like, hey, this door keeps closing on its own. Okay, let's check it out. Let's see what's happening. And then, hey, there's a vent that's behind the door. And, when the air kicks on or the heat kicks on, it closes. I mean, so for me, I've always like debunked. I mean, it's just like the fundamentals of being an investigator. I mean,
it's the result of an investigation, and this is how I always explain it. Debunk. You can't. If you set out to debunk, you set out with a bias. You're looking to take away from the claim. So when you investigate, as I see it, you approach it looking for the truth. You want to know what is happening. And if the claim is there's a ghost here and it throws things around like books and off the shelves and stuff, and you find logical causes for that have nothing to do with paranormal woo-woo, then you took the bunk out of it. You debunked that claim. So it's a result. And usually, Joe, you're right. Like most of my investigations end up debunking the claim. So it's a fundamental part of what we do, but it's not what we intend to do. It's just a result.
This is an interesting comment.
You'd love to get out there, wouldn't you, Kenny, and say, I can't explain this? That'd be great for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do that. I have done that. And that's because I don't have enough information. When there's not enough information, you have to go with, I don't know. You can't just make up a conclusion. If you say, I don't know, therefore it's a ghost or it's haunted, you are actively deceiving the people that you're talking to because you just made up a conclusion based on nothing. So, I've been there many times when I just don't have enough information and I'm left with, for now, I don't know. And that's what I write in the file. And I put it in the file drawer. I actually have files here, physical files, and I put it in the file drawer and wait until new information comes up. And then I'll reopen it.
And let me kind of add to that here real quick. When we do residential, which I don't even want to do residentials anymore. It's anyways, but when we would do residentials, you're supposed to put people at ease because a lot of people, they're afraid, and you're supposed to put them at ease. So having these legitimate explanations as to why certain things are happening is going to help put those people at ease.
Right. I don't think somebody made a comment. Where is it? Something
about you have to be a believer to see. Yeah, that was something I wanted to get into. I've lost it now. The comment was basically you have to be a believer to see anything. If you disbelieve, you're not going to see anything. That's not a true statement. I know a lot of people that are very skeptical, and then they see something, and their mind is blown. My mum being the most recent one.
Loads of personal experiences. I've been a skeptic for 15 years. I've still had multiple personal experiences.
My mum does not believe in any of it, and then she rang me a couple of weeks ago, visited the house, so I'll just do a quick version. And she was like, I saw my mum come into the room and just say, like, I'm sorry, and then just walk back out. She was like, the ghosts aren't real, but I saw my mum. And I was like, well, potentially, your mum did come. You had unfinished business. Potentially, she actually came in and just said the words, I'm sorry. And then, or potentially you dreamt it. But my mum is convinced. She was wide awake. She was playing with a cat. She knows exactly what she was doing. And she was so skeptical. Everything I do is nonsense to her. And then she's like, I've started watching these other channels now.
Thing is, you get that. You get that again and again and again. And we used to have that where we would go to a place, nothing would happen, and people would say, well, it's because you're not open. You're not open to the experience. You need to open yourself up. And it's just like, I'm as psychic as a brick, and I'm incredibly skeptical, you know, and it's a case of, well, I'm not just, you know, it does not matter. But like Kev, I've still experienced things which I would categorize as being a genuine paranormal experience, but it's you know, and that's not because of me or what I was thinking or how I was feeling or, you know, in my belief system. It just happened around me, you know. So I don't think it has anything to do with being closed off, open to the experience or anything like that. I think it's purely something that's going to happen no matter what.
I
Whatever
believe
it
that
is
paranormal
part of the
activity
human
is very
condition.
rare. Oops, sorry.
I just put it forward as that. It's part of the human experience. You know, it's not down to belief in that perspective. Belief helps kind of amplify that of how much you think or might believe that you've experienced. That's fine. But I think in regards to like the psychological aspect, someone who like I said, is, like Justin says, psychic as a brick, someone who's not thinking about ghosts, not thinking about anything else, can still have a paranormal experience. If we had the answer to what that is, we could easily recreate that and make it happen again and again, but we don't. But anyone, regardless of their belief system, proven throughout history of multiple different ghost stories, you actually get someone to open up to you about a paranormal experience, majority of people will have had some sort of paranormal experience. So it's not based upon belief.
All right, Rick Dersh, thank you for the $10. What would you all consider your irrefutable proof of the paranormal evidence? For me, I've had it. I've had my irrefutable proof, and that was a guy stood at the side of my bed, and then my uncle having the same experience several years later. Same guy, didn't know who he was, and it turned out when a photo album was opened years and years later, when we're fully grown adults, and we both go, "That's him. That's the guy." So that's your great grandfather. I've never shown anyone that photo. It's the only one I've got. That to me was enough proof for me that the paranormal is real and that I saw a ghost. I didn't know it was a ghost at the time. I was 6 years old or maybe a bit younger, basically shat my pants because there's a guy in the room. I didn't realize that it was a ghost. I probably knew what ghosts were by then, but, you know, white sheet and jeans.
I could debunk that. I could debunk that whole situation that you've had, just based on the parts of psychology and the whole false memories and everything else. You know, I could do that.
Yeah,
sort of no problem at all. It's hard everyone says this, and I get it a lot as a skeptic as well, is what would you consider like irrefutable evidence of the paranormal? Well, that's an excessive level of data in one very small situation, because we don't know what it is we're measuring. We'd have to be measuring pretty much everything atmospheric wise, plus looking at the visual, looking at the temperature, look at humidity, look at what radiation's in the area, what all kinds of different units of measurement, and see something change at the same time as another thing across multiple different data sets to be able to turn around and say that's irrefutable proof. What I found after 15 years of doing this is, really, if you like the paranormal and you like ghosts and you like monsters and you like all that kind of stuff, enjoy it. Go and enjoy it. If you like to debunk and you like to find the reason and the truth behind things, go and do that. Don't try and feed more bullshit into an already fogged up system.
Yeah.
Just try and learn, try and do your best, that kind of thing. Because the personal experience is what you're going to get. And you're going to get a difference between a blip out the corner of your eye, which you swear as a person, to, like, recently I had a personal experience that blew my mind for weeks. Trying to suss it out, going through study, trying to make sure, you know, I wasn't going crazy after 15 years of being in the game. You're not going to get ever, I don't think you're ever going to find the answer at irrefutable evidence of the paranormal and something that is repeatable and you can do it again and again. You're never going to have a ghost child walk into a room every day and go, "Hey, I'm your ghost." You go, "Oh yeah, how you doing? All right."
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. It's something about the personal experience or the human experience that we require through trauma, which we require whether it's psychological or whether we have an effect on the environment or the environment has an effect on us, whatever it is, it's just part of the human experience. I don't think you're ever going to find irrefutable evidence for it.
Yeah, what I was saying, because the question was, what is proof to you? As in, that to me was my experience that was enough proof for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not telling everyone else that's real.
no,
Ghosts
but
are real.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about the ease of. It's easy to be a skeptic.
Yeah.
It's like in those situations because you've got no data set, you can just turn around and say, "It's that, it's this, it's that." So your evidence for you isn't evidence enough for me, and it isn't evidence enough for someone else who might be listening, and so on and so forth. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
It's one of those redundant questions, even though it's a question that comes up all the time, and I totally understand why it's been asked. It's pretty redundant in regards to skepticism and things because there's 16 different answers for one situation every time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Sorry,
I get obviously. I mean, Kev's answer is spot on because, like I say, but in terms of I'm not going to say the word irrefutable because mine wasn't, but it was a case of what was enough for me to change my mind about East Drive, and it was something, So I was going from this is a scam to shit. Actually, this place might be haunted, and that was enough for me. Because I left East Drive having spent hundreds of hours in that bloody place with something kicking off, knocking and banging within an empty room where we knew where everybody was. And, and like I said, and analyzing the waveform of the knocks and things like that matched apparent waveform analysis of that was enough for me to go, yeah, I can't explain that. From an empty room directly above our heads, we know where everybody was, and things are kicking off. And I just think, shit. Actually, for me, having to go from a skeptically minded person of thinking, okay, what are people getting? I don't believe this is a poltergeist because the original story was in 1969. It cannot possibly be still existing in modern day. I don't think it's real. And then literally going away overnight and thinking, shit, I think actually I've been somewhere that's genuinely haunted. That was enough proof for me, because no matter how many different ways I tried, I could not debunk that experience. And that, so, but would and listen, we had 10 other people witnessing it, and that's great as well because it wasn't just a personal experience; it was a shared experience of everybody corroborating exactly what happened, which is also really good. But outside of that group of 10, would anybody else believe me? Possibly not, because they'll just say, well, where's your proof? How do you know that there wasn't anybody in that room? And no matter what I say in terms of where we knew where everybody was, it is never going to be enough for somebody outside of that moment to look at that and go, oh, yeah, that's proof of the paranormal. So it is a purely personal thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I went from kicking a football round on a car park to going into a factory, being called into a factory by a security guard because he was literally shitting himself, to having what I believe to be a paranormal experience that stuck with me for the rest of my life, still to this day. But ever since I've been searching for it and beginning to debunk things, it makes me think, I was young at the time. Did what I portray in my mind actually happen as it is portrayed in my mind? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's it's a difficult one, and it eats away at you, and you just want more. You just want that definitive proof, and that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me searching. So,
outside of my personal experiences, anything that I put out there, it is not, it's not evidence. It's at best suggestive. But I mean, Dawn and we heard what sounded like somebody walking up towards us. I never once said it was a ghost, but I was like, there's no one here but us. We go looking. I don't know what it was. And the issue is that, as Kenny would say, not enough information. Even though I had cameras set up in certain spots, what wasn't covered was what was underneath us, which was the basement and then this crawl space. There very well could have been an animal or something like that underneath that crawl space. I don't know. It was interesting. It was kind of weird because it honestly sounded like, the dad walk when they're pissed off and ready to beat your ass. It's stupid. That's what it sounded like to us. But I mean, is that proof of anything? No, nothing. I mean, I don't have anything that can prove, other than people can take away what they want with it, believe what they want. But I would be lying to people if I said, "Oh, that was a ghost."
Yeah. I mean, me and Paul have had a very similar experience. I think I told you and Crow about it sort of after somebody else's stream, where we heard heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, sounded like high heels, and then a woman distinctly 3 times say hello. And we didn't think ghosts. We were like, somebody's in here. And then our response is, all of our equipment is downstairs in bags. It's going to get nicked. We piled down there, and it must have been an hour later where we like, where's the wet footprints? Because it's been throwing it down. There's a board over the window, and we removed the chair that you stepped on to get in, and none of it made any sense. But we didn't say that was a ghost. That was a paranormal experience. We were like, that's interesting. Could it have been something animal-wise in the house while a neighbour off in the distance said hello, but we didn't hear it the rest of the night? Possibly. But I tell that experience, driving home, I couldn't get it out of my head. I was like, what was that? It sounded like a woman walking on a wood floor and then shouting hello. And at one point we were like, there's not even wood floor in there. It's carpeted everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we honestly thought the owner came into the house and was upset that we did something. I'm like, what the hell was that? I don't know.
I sometimes wonder like how much stuff we dismiss, and actually it may have been genuine. You know, I mean, I go back years and years and years ago when I went with ASAP with Steve Parsons to a hotel out in the middle of nowhere, and they were like an investigator training weekend, and a couple of people heard a child crying out, and a man telling the child off and apologizing for the child's shouting. And they noted it down, but didn't think anything of it. And it's only later on, the following day when they're kind of compiling all of these accounts, that the hotel owner said there's nobody else in this hotel and there are no children in this hotel. And it's things like that where something which is ordinary, it's only after the fact that it may be extraordinary, but you may automatically dismiss it. Sorry, Kenny, I kind of
Rick Durst, thank you for the 4 months. Right. Sorry, cut in there.
I'm all good. I mean, I don't know what I can really add. I'm really in Kev's. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you Kevin. Kev's team there, because I mean, for me, for something like that, it would take an enormous amount of study. This is not just something. I don't accept personal experiences. And that's just because I know how easily we can be fooled. I've worked with magicians and mentalists. I understand how we can be fooled easily, and I've done it myself to other people. So I won't take anything at face value, because we have to understand like optical illusions. We have to understand hallucinations. We have to bring mental health issues into it when it comes to personal experiences. So this is all stuff that I think about. But for me personally, it would take a lot of study. It would take a controlled environment. It would take repeatability. It would be some kind of readings. I'd have to measure it, because if I experience it, that means it's measurable. That's by default. It's measurable, because we know hearing frequencies, we know visual frequencies, we know touch, tactile sensations. We know all this. We know the ranges. So it has to be within those ranges. It has to be measurable. So in order to get all those data points, repeatability for more data points, in order to compare it, have it analyzed, make sure. I mean, if something just pops in front of me, like an apparition just pops in front of me, I mean, the first thing I'm going to do is poke, because I want to see, one, if I go through it, if I can touch it, if I feel it, if it's cold, if it's hot, if it's squishy. Whatever. I want to know what's going on, because
but you've got to shout, "Get her!" as you do it.
Yeah.
I want to turn around and be like, "This is some paranormal woo-woo right here." But I also want to make sure it's not an optical illusion. We can have natural ones that we perceive because things line up, depending on where we're looking and our angle. But there's also projections. I mean, people can create ghosts. We've seen it. We've seen really good ones. You can project images onto smoke, mist, very tiny, thin screens that from a distance, like maybe down a long hallway, you won't see. And if I project something on that and then yank it out of the way before you get down there, I mean, who's to say what I saw? So there's a lot to it. It's not as simple as, at least for me, it is not as simple as a personal experience. I need.
So you're saying you're not going to get that from a YouTube video then?
Oh no. Especially when it's, when I go on their page and I see every thumbnail has the same like icon on every freaking thumbnail. I hate that. That
looks like they're constipated.
Yeah, like you don't look scared. You look like you got to take a major dump. Like just stop putting that on every video that you do.
Imagine that, 6 people on a panel discussing the paranormal, very different points of view and experiences, not one outburst of anger, nobody getting pissed off at somebody having a different opinion. And this is why I wanted to do this, was to, the damage that the fake is doing. But then we're not all like staunch believers. And I just think it's fantastic that we can all have these adult discussions and, not firebomb cars and all the rest of it like goes on the other side of the fence, because it's ridiculous out there.
I think the great thing is as well, I think the great thing is as well that we can all take something from this, especially myself, like learning from Kevin, Kenny, and Joe, their explanations for things. And we can all take something from this conversation, like I'm already skeptical anyway, even though I've had a personal experience, but I think I'll leave this conversation that little bit more skeptical. So, at least we've taken.
Well done, you pay. You've killed it.
No, I think it's great. I think it's great.
It is.
A lot of people, and Kenny, this is true, or would be terrified to investigate with Kenny. And Don and I are like, we want to take Kenny here. We want to investigate with him again.
I've bought tickets to go to events, and immediately, like within 30 seconds, received an email. Why are you signing up for my event? It's like, well, because I want to come out and visit. No, thank you. We don't need you to come out here. And they refunded my money and wouldn't let me go. And it's ridiculous. I mean, I think those situations and the situation that I think, Beardo, that you were kind of bringing up, like when people get butthurt on disagreements and stuff, that's not a reflection on us. That's a reflection on them. That's a problem with them, because obviously they're not comfortable with what they're doing or their beliefs, because if they were, they could have a civil conversation about it. But because they act out or refuse to have someone join in on an event that I'm willing to pay for, then that's a big red flag on that.
They want to control that narrative.
Yeah. They're trying to.
I was going to say, do they think you're going to go into conflict with them over things, or how they're running their event, or what?
They don't want to, because I mean, I usually do write up something after an event when I write my experience, but I write as I see it, and I try to be polite and not insulting as much as possible. And I think they're just afraid of that I'm going to write the place isn't haunted, that I didn't find any ghosts. Well, I mean, that's par for the course. That's normal. I don't ever find them. I'm still looking, but at least give me a chance. Show me.
Thank you for the $2. Sorry,
that's all right. I mean, show me. Let's see. You're making all these claims. There's a local place that I won't name their names, but they're an asylum, where I reached out and said, "Hey, are you open to having me there? Because I'd like to come to your event." And I got questioned so bad. Like, what do you plan on doing? How are you going to write things? I want to know everything that you're writing before you publish it, which is a big fat fucking no. That's not going to happen. And then I was told I was going to have a chaperone. Like, they were going to assign someone to follow me around the entire night. Like, why? Do you think I'm going to fake something? That's not how it works.
Yeah, they've got it the wrong way around, haven't they?
Yeah.
They should be following the fakes around.
So,
incredible.
I mean, you're right, Joe. Like, there's a lot of people out there that, unfortunately, and I really don't get it. I don't understand why. I mean, if you're having all this activity and you're confident, and that's the big thing, if you're confident that shit's going on, then by all means, wouldn't I be one of the people that you want to demonstrate that to?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I think.
And you know, when we're talking about going someplace in a couple months, we're doing a documentary on that place.
Ooh.
And I'm like, well, we already did. It's still being worked on, but I'm willing to take Kenny there. I mean, like,
I like how you said that.
Like,
Willing.
that should say something, because we've had things happen there, but we don't have an explanation for it. And perhaps something may happen that we've experienced where Kenny can say, I know what's going on here. Just because we can't debunk something doesn't mean it's just automatically paranormal. We just, for whatever reason, we don't have an explanation, and maybe somebody can offer up a different perspective or actually figure out what actually happened. And to me, that's important. Is somebody debunk something, like the whole chair thing at the Conjuring House, I'm fine with that, because that's the truth, and that's what matters to me.
I'll tell you one thing I think about, just the more genuine channels, the people doing things about the right way, is we are fully open, and tell me if I'm wrong, fully open to education and actually learning from others and researching and like I said, the whole reason I could do the podcast is so I can talk to a wide range of people with different beliefs and perspectives about different things. You know, I don't, like I say, I don't care who I'm talking to, a debunker, an academic, a believer, a skeptic. I am willing to learn. And actually, I don't think the fakery channels are willing to learn and be educated. I think they are just purely in it for views and subs, and I don't think they are willing to be educated to do things in the right way, I've got to say.
I don't even think the fakers are interested in the paranormal, to be honest with you.
No, they're not. They're interested in YouTube
and make revenue. Like mini films. They're just there to make horror films, basically.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
When you talk about being open-minded, and this is something that I'm usually accused of, not being open-minded. But to define it means literally to be open to new possibilities, new information, not to readily accept it. I don't have to accept something just because you say something happened. It's the willingness to consider new information and to see if it's valid. And if it is valid, then you incorporate it into your worldview. If it's not valid, you reject it. So I see a lot of us, and everyone that I know of, Paul, I don't know you too well, so I'm not trying to exclude you, but I don't know, and Justin, I don't know you. The other three, I know enough to say that you are open to being wrong. You're open to new experiences or new information that would change your worldview. And I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say Justin and Paul are the same way with this. But on the opposite side, I don't see that from a lot of the paranormal community that we're talking about here, where they're stuck. They are literally the definition of closed-minded. They know what they know, and that's it. They don't care, and that's the key. I don't care what anyone else says. I know what I saw. I know what I heard. I know what I know, and that is being closed-minded. And I think that's something that we all need to realize, and I think most of us do, but that's what we're dealing with. And to constantly deal with that on everyday basis, I mean, it's difficult. It's a constant uphill battle, trying to fight through a whole bunch of people with rocks being thrown down at you as you climb that hill.
But it's the same issue is either being a skeptic. Obviously, that is the definition of being a skeptic. But within the paranormal community, and the idea of a skeptic is a cynic. You know, someone who's just going to shut things down. They're questioning us and telling us what it is, and basically being horrible to me, the worst people ever. But you're right, that open-mindedness is that thing. But it's sort of, if you are a skeptic, you're seen as the fountain of all knowledge. Like, what's this then? You can't explain it, paranormal. What's this then? Like, you can't explain it, paranormal. Right. And it's like, I've got a whole, that's how me and Kenny know each other. Kenny's part of my toolbox as an investigator to be able to go, I'm a bit lost with this. Take a look at this information. Take a look at this photo. I'm having this situation. Let's discuss it. Same as like Justin. If I had a situation where I was dealing with a case, I'd ring Justin or I'd ring Paul Hobday, or I've got these people who are more subject matter experts on certain parts of the paranormal or things outside the paranormal that I can talk to and say, I have this situation. Do you know any more than I do about this type of thing? But there seems to be a kind of belief in the paranormal that if you're a skeptic, you must be the fountain of all knowledge, and if you don't know about it, then there's only one answer, and that is a ghost or it's a paranormal occurrence.
Thank you for the $4.99.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
I've often heard, all right, Mr. Skeptic, how do you explain this? And that's right to your point, Kev. I mean, it's like sometimes I look them square in the face and like, I don't know how that was done. Like, give me time. Like if I want to look into it. And that's the other thing. Like, it's not really my job to explain your shit to you. If you call yourself an investigator, the burden of proof is on you. If you're the one making the claim, it's up to you to prove to everyone else this is true. Not for me to prove it's false. But I do
also,
that anyway.
I was going to say, but also like in terms of how academics are viewed as well. It's just like, well, you're up there in your ivory castle. You obviously don't know what it's like down on the ground investigating. So we can dismiss Kieran O'Keefe and Chris French and whichever academic you want to pick in parapsychology or anomalistic psychology. Oh, we'll just, but it's like, even listening to yourself, in terms of what you're just going to dismiss this person who knows what they're talking about,
right?
and can give you 100 different psychological reasons for the event that you witnessed, because
point to that.
Yeah, go on.
So just coming from the other aspect, because I also find I like Kieran. Kieran's a wonderful guy, brilliant at what he does, but he's also known to stretch the alternative explanation like a little bit too far. And the skeptics and debunkers that do exactly the same. Because they're looking for the debunk, they're looking for the opposite answer. They do just as much as the believers sometimes, who will go to those extents. They'll try and find. I find it with myself when I've had situations that I can't explain. I'm desperately trying to find an answer because the only way I can find is it might be paranormal, and I don't want that for my reputation or me as a investigator. I've changed that mindset but learned that over the years. But the academic sometimes is more desperate to protect their reputation as an academic, the same way as a believer wants to protect the reputation of the paranormal, as in it's real and everything else. And you get this exactly the same in those two bounds. To be open-minded is to be educated to a point. You could be educated in anomalistic psychology in all its forms, a bit like Chris French, and being able to go, that doesn't actually fit any of the things I know, instead of kind of molding it to that could be this with a little bit of that to make it work and make it fit.
Yeah.
And I think, like I say, the skeptical side as well, it needs to be held accountable. The debunking side needs to be held accountable when they stretch the truth to match their own. And it just as soon as you said it then about the academics, I've known academics to push the boat out a bit, and it's like, I think you're clutching at straws trying to find an answer when actually that's not the avenue. This is the correct way.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I've seen some explanations that Kieran has given, and I'm like, I don't think that makes sense.
That's not a dig at Kieran. That's like,
no,
if you're debunking stuff continuously like he does in the public eye, sometimes you're going to be in a situation where they go, well, what is it then, Kieran? And Kieran's going, I'm renowned as like the greatest skeptic from Most Haunted and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of pressure on your shoulders to go, well, it's that. And by the time you said it and you recorded, it's out there. You're not really given the time to analyze that properly. So I can't blame him completely for that. Sorry, Kieran.
I think in these situations, and what you're describing there, I think both sides needs to realize that it's not important to be right all the time. It's important to understand what's going on. It's important to, if you don't know the answer, to say it. You don't have to come up with a reason. And I think that's one of the most dishonest things that people could do. And I can relate to what you were saying, Kev. I mean, I remember doing that, going through that phase where I was desperately looking for any kind of explanation, no matter what it was. And if it was ridiculous, I was going to say it because I didn't want to be wrong. But luckily, I've grown out of that phase where I'm perfectly happy to say, I don't know. You know, it might take me some time. I might never come up with an answer, you know, because, again, going back to other things that we've said, I don't know everything. I always reach out to other people because I mean, when it comes to physics or biology, these are not my areas. I mean, I know a little bit, but there are people out there that know a hell of a lot more, and it's their career. So you want to consult those people. So I think instead of trying to make sure that your side is right, if you don't know, just say it. That's it. And then work together. Work together to find an answer.
Right.
You know? There you go.
Right. Question from Bob Knox. Is faking the paranormal for believers really any different to what organized religions have been doing for years? Yeah, I think so, yeah, because then you're straying into beliefs. The church, priests, that is their belief. They 100% believe there's God, there's Jesus, there's all of that stuff. Whereas the fake paranormal, they know that there's fuck all in that house, but they will make that REM pod go off. They will make wires under doors on a drawing pin so they can pull it with their foot because we wised up to them using their arms and shoulder movements, pulling a camera, things like that. I think it's very, very different. I'm not a religious man at all, but I respect that people have religious beliefs, and I'd like to think that the church believes it. I'm not saying that all churches are good, and you know, there's some horrible things done in the name of religion that is probably why I'm not religious, but I think it's worlds apart.
Sorry, and kind of add to that a little bit. I think if the question was done like, instead of just saying organized religion, maybe like pastors, like certain pastors that we, you know, straight up, it's, you know, for money. I think that would have been a better way to ask that question rather than organized religion, because there's all kinds of churches that doesn't even matter the religion that are great. They're wonderful. However, there are those individuals out there who run big mega churches who making a lot of money on stuff that they don't even believe. And claiming that they're able to do these miracles through God. You know, I'm going to cure this person. Come on stage, and then smack them around with a jacket or something. You're cured. Make sure you put the money in the basket.
It makes for great entertainment, though.
Yeah. The Lord gave you a concussion, but you're healed.
Why aren't we calling out exorcism and religious involvement? I've listened to a bishop tell people they invited it by not attending mass. Completely unethical. That's scare tactics. That's the type of. That's why I don't get into these conversations. I mean, there's Bishop James Long. He's not even a fucking bishop. The guy is an absolute joke. And he banned me from his demonology class because he found out I was a debunker. Asshole. But yeah, he's not even a real priest or whatever he's claiming to be. He's some offshoot group. And, you know, if your priest is going around with Zach Baggins saying, yep, that's a demon because he saw an SLS stick figure, your priest is a bit of a prick.
James, I know James. He's a really nice guy. But
I don't think so.
I mean, you know, you've had your experience with him, Beardo.
I've met him a few times, and I think he's a very misinformed person. I find, because I follow him like on TikTok. I watch his videos on TikTok, and I just the amount of bullshit that comes out of his mouth when it comes to videos, especially ones that people take on their own homes and claim, you know, that it's something. It's ridiculous. I think it's irresponsible and unethical, and I think he's a danger to people, and I don't think he should be doing what he's doing. But you know, who am I?
I agree. Me and Kenny are on the same side of the spectrum.
I mean, it is when you see him reacting to whatever smug puppy or whatever it is, and he's like, oh, and basically saying this is legit. And we know it's not. That's not. No, that is dangerous.
I'll give him his due. He watched the Laney and Ben video and he went, "That's bullshit." And I was like, "Yes."
Yeah, I think there was one time I agreed with him where he called something out, and I was like, "All right, well, I can't fault him for that." I agree, But for the most part, a lot of the stuff when he's like, "Oh yeah, that's definitely a demon. You need to do something quick or leave that house." That pisses me off because now it's like if that whoever made the video, if they have a belief in that, now they're taking advice from someone and they're going to leave their house. They're going to leave their house. Why? Because some guy on TikTok said, you have a demon. I think it's just irresponsible. It really is.
Yep. Right, guys, we're probably going to have to wrap this up because we're going on for the 3 hours. Before you guys jump off, I just want to say thank you to Chesadoodle for all the links she's been posting for all the channels tonight.
Good job.
You've done a hell of a job there tonight and trying to keep people in line and stuff. I really appreciate everything you've done there. Thank you very, very much, Doodle. Obviously, to the guys on the panel, please go and subscribe to them. There's a reason they're on this panel. It's because I respect them for the work that they do. I respect them as people. I mean, I don't know that Kev is probably the only one I don't know that well. But at some point, I would love to go and sort of sit in a room with Kev and to learn from him. I do the same with Kenny, but he's too far away.
Well,
we'll get you here.
You have a place to stay if you ever come this way.
I've been told that a lot, and I appreciate it. But I'd love to. Please go check all these channels out. They're fantastic. And then the channels that they work with, the channels that they interact with them, go and follow those guys because you won't go far wrong with it. There's the odd bad egg that might sneak in, but we snuff them out eventually. But what a great panel this has been tonight. A lot of people saying, can we make this a monthly thing? I don't know if everyone that's on can say yes, but maybe we can do something with different guests once a month on a Wednesday where we take all of my silly, normal nonsense, pressing buttons and ban hammers and stuff and just have these conversations about what's going on in the paranormal world. I think this has been important.
Life, so I'm good. I can do it.
Yeah, Joe doesn't have a life.
I've seen quite a few comments, as this talk's gone on, basically saying how refreshing it is that and how much it's needed, to be honest, to have that conversation around fakery, around fake channels and the issues and the and actually just for that alone, I think thank you very much for Biddle for inviting us on.
Right.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Biddle.
It's very nice to come on and have a conversation like this where it's open and we can speak freely and not have to worry about what we say, because I have no fear from anyone on here that you're gonna explode and start yelling at me and send me hate mail. Because I already get enough. I don't need any more.
I love it when you post them.
I mean, to be fair, Kev sat there and said, I can debunk your dead great grandfather. And I went, yeah.
I mean, I was thinking the same thing, but he said it. I was like, oh, damn. All right, cool.
It's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Keeps everyone open, keeps everyone honest. Yeah, I've really enjoyed this. This has been fantastic. And 3 hours has gone so quick.
Yeah, that's gone really fast.
It's been 3 hours?
Yeah.
I really don't have a life, do I? Shit.
No, you don't.
So, right, if we go clockwise, Justin, then Paul, then Joe, then Kev, then Kenny, just tell everyone where they can find you and whatever you've got coming up in the next week or two, if you've got anything.
Yeah, Paranormal Monkey podcast. So every Monday evening, 8 p.m. UK time, trying to talk to a whole range of people. So next Monday, I'm talking to a psychic medium, and then in future, I've got the likes of who else have I got coming up? I've got a magician coming up. I have Seg coming on.
I'm sorry.
Just a whole range of great people, basically, all coming from different avenues. So yeah, that's me. Like I say, every Monday, and just thoroughly enjoyed this. So thank you so much.
Yep. So Paul from Ghosts on Trent. Obviously, if you've been watching us, I have my teammate Mark as well. You can find us across every social media. TikTok. Well, we don't post on TikTok. I just use that as a browsing tool. Facebook, YouTube. Yeah, that's where you can find us. We try to release a video every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Not every week though. As it stands at the moment, busy life. But just want to say a massive shout out to everyone in the chat tonight. Massive shout out to everyone on the panel. It's been great to have a chat with you guys for the first time, some of you. And let's hope we can do it again. Great stuff.
Yeah. Flick, thank you for the £2. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Go on then, Joe. Take it away.
All right. So yeah, Entity7 Paranormal. That's where you can find me on YouTube. Don't find me on Facebook. I hate Facebook. Really the only thing that's going on right now is have a couple more premieres coming up on Sundays. Have an investigation coming up. That one will be interesting. That's the Shawnee Lake investigation. So I'll be filming that. I'll probably go live. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Sweet Garth, thank you very, very much for the membership. I appreciate it. Kev?
Yeah, so obviously Kev Kerr from Kev Kerr Paranormal. I'm mainly on social media on its own nowadays. So TikTok, Facebook, anything like that, look up Kev Kerr Paranormal. I've got basically short, sharp videos with information about different things in the paranormal, different types of investigation, different methods, better ways to do things, all that kind of stuff.
Cool. I guess me? Yeah?
Yep.
All right.
Sorry, I was looking at the comment I was reading.
So yeah, you can usually find my work on skepticalinquirer.org or in the magazine. This is the new issue that just came out with my article on a urn that was allegedly belonging to John Wayne Gacy.
Ooh. It's made of skin.
It's apparently like his ashes, but there's a whole story in it. Please go check it out. And also coming up in October, oh my gosh, where's my calendar? October 24th to 27th, I'll be in Las Vegas, Nevada for SciCon, which is our big science conference. Lots of people there, including big names like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Brian Cox. They are our keynote speakers. So I'm going to be hanging out with them for a few days and chill. I got to hang out with Neil deGrasse Tyson last time. Like we were just chilling, talking stories, talking shit, and swapping stories. It was really, really
jealous.
It was a lot of fun. But that's it. Yeah, skepticalinquirer.org and same with YouTube. Just look up for Center for Inquiry on YouTube, and you'll find a lot of my videos, or Kenny Biddle, just my name. There you go. Thank you.
Don't scare Claire. Thank you for the $4.99. Fantastic discussion tonight, guys. Look forward to more in the future. I mean, maybe we can get people like yourself walking the weird and other people on different panels as well. Obviously, the work you guys do with the history of haunted locations is, I think, it's phenomenal. I absolutely love that stuff.
Can I jump in? One more thing. This Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern time, so my time, Friday night, I'm going to have Stevie from Truth or Demons on my show, live stream. So we're going to talk about the Warrens and Annabelle and her deep dive in there. Just wanted to get that.
And that was all fake.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Great movie. Shit in real life.
Yes. It's going to be fun.
Right. Thank you very much to you five, and obviously for Paranormal by the Sea earlier. I really appreciate you guys spending the time with all of these beautiful people in the chat. Thank you very, very much. And yeah, let's do this again.
Awesome.
Right. I think I've got to put you all in the thing one by one, haven't I? So it's in no order of preference, but Joe's going first. All right. Good night, guys. Wow. Joe's giving me the finger. You guys can't see it, but he's being very rude. All right, guys, thank you very, very much for sticking around. That was the longest stream we've done that's not gaming. Fantastic, fantastic community, fantastic thoughts and conversations. You guys mostly behaved all night. I appreciate every single one of you. Please, please, please go and check out these guys. They do a lot of really good work for the positive and the paranormal. And it's not all about, you know, paranormal being scary and all the rest of it. Much love to every single one of you. Have I got to kick myself out of this now? I think so. Much love to every single one of you. Beardo out.